Don't worry. So, depending when they bring this, we'll be using this. I just hope whoever is doing presentation will be doing it. Because whatever presentation we have.
Except I can stay here. I'm going to stay. Yes.
Hello. Morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum.
You guys should not disturb me.
You're all very welcome to the 30th anniversary celebration of a great organization, MICA, the Movement for Islamic Culture and Awareness. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my name is Amina Ayakola, and with me here this morning is Rekia Ikruya. It's a very big pleasure to welcome you to MICA's 30th anniversary today, taking place at the Musical Society of Nigeria's Hall, Lagos. It is our distinct pleasure to have been asked to assist MICA this morning to moderate and facilitate this fantastic occasion. I'd like to, I'm not going to go through too many recognitions because there's so many distinguished personalities here, but I think we will fail to recognize the Chief Justice of the Federation, our mother, Alaja Okulu, and also, of course, our Royal Father, His Highness Namido Sanusi.
What are you going to do now? Since we have
just number 2.
You can't take it through.
Introducing properly as we go along. So moving on very quickly, before we commence, we are all here by the grace of the Almighty Allah. I will ask my co-host to invite distinguished personalities who will lead us with the opening prayer. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, you're all very welcome to this very important event. To kick off, we'll start with the opening prayers. The opening prayer will be taken by Madam Muslim Afisi. Madam Muslim Afisi will be reading from the Quran, chapter 53, verse 31 to 41, Surah Al-Najm, the moon. So, to read the English version of Surah Al-Najm, right after Malam Afisi is Malam Ahmed Abushallah, and they're both here.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وما في الأرض ليجزي الذين أساءوا بما عملوا ويجزي الذين أحسنوا بالحسنى الذين يجتنبون كبائر الإثم كبائر الإثم والفواحش إلا اللمم إن ربك واسع المغفرة هو أعلم بكم إذ أنشأكم من الأرض وإذ أنتم أجنة في بطون أمهاتكم فلا تزكوا أنفسكم هو أعلم بمن اتقى أفرأيت الذي تولى وأعطى قليلا وأكدى أعنده علم الغيب فهو يرى أعنده علم الغيب فهو يرى أم لم ينبأ بما في صحف موسى وإبراهيم الذي وفى ألا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى وأن ليس للإنسان إلا ما سعى وأن سعيه سوف يرى ثم يجزاه الجزاء الأوفى صدق الله العظيم.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. And to Allah belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is in the earth, that He may recompense those who do evil with the penalty of what they have done, and recompense those who do good with the best reward. Those who avoid the major sins and immoralities, committing only slight ones. Indeed, your Lord is vast in forgiveness. He was most knowing of you when He produced you from the earth and when you were fetuses in the wombs of your mothers. So do not claim yourselves to be pure. He is most knowing of who fears Him. Have you seen the one who turned away and gave a little and then refrained? Does he have knowledge of the unseen so that he sees the hereafter? Or has he not been informed of what was in the scriptures of Moses and of Abraham, who fulfilled his obligations, that no bearer of burdens will bear the burden of another, and that there is not for man except the good for which he strives, and that the outcome of their endeavors will be seen. Then they will be fully rewarded. صدق الله العظيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى أهل حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Focus on the object so that you won't be.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Malam Afisi and Malam Bishop, for that recitation from towards emerging. This event, as we stated earlier, is a double celebration. Celebration of the 30th anniversary of the movement for Islamic culture and awareness, and also a celebration of Justice Abiru. This discourse is premised on the thinking that there cannot be morals and strong ethical conduct without the aid of the law. So this room full of lawyers is going to, of mainly lawyers, is going to guide us through the discussion today. It promises to be a very interesting one. And we're all very much looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rakia. Yes, it's a power-packed panel that we've been able to assemble, and we thank the distinguished panelists who have made out time to join us for this very, very special occasion. On that note, I'm going to invite up to the podium Halima Oluwayemisi Busari, who will deliver the welcome remarks. Please give her a round of applause. Please keep clapping. Let's encourage her as she makes her way up to the podium. A secret hint from Shaitan, they are cursed. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And I begin in the name of Almighty Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I greet you the best of greetings. May the peace and blessings of Allah be with us. My name is Halima Oluwayemisi Busari. As you would have noticed, my sister and friend, Jumaya Tijola, was supposed to do this. But as we all know, we plan and Allah plans. And so she's unavoidably absent. I'll do my best to stand in for her. I'm going to do something for Jumai, and you're going to allow me just 1 second. And I know she'll be very happy with this. Jumai is as mischievous as they come, and she's our drama queen. So I know she'll be happy with this. Maria Babikum, Maria Ba Ekabo, Maria Babikum, Eka, Maria Ba Uno, Maria Babikum, Maria Bam Sonny Bizua, Ya Liaja, Ya Liaji, Maria Babikum, Maria Ba. Juma, I hope you're online and you saw that I did that for you. Now to proceed. My Lord Spiritual, imams and clergy here present. My Lords Temporal, led by the CJA of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Kudirat Kekere, GCON. His Highness, Khalifa Mohammed Sanusi II, Emir of Kano, CON. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this event. This is a celebration of the elevation of Justice Abiru. And this is also a celebration of his essence. For those of us who know Justice Abiru very well, he's very passionate about the law, but he's also quite passionate about the ethic and morality behind the law. In essence, that is Justice Abiru's raison d'etre. What is MICA? And who is MICA? I'm not going to take too much time on that because we already have a documentary that will tell us about who we are. However, I will say very little about MICA. MICA is an Islamic organization that was started in June 1994. And I gave MICA its name. Our mothers from Lagos were concerned about young Muslims, educated Muslims, not identifying with Islam. And they had this lunch for us in the home of our mother here, Alaja Latifa Okono. and gave us this charge and said to us, what are you people going to do? And I recall Alaja Ladiko was there and she called me out and said, see you, what are you going to do? How are we going to spend this? And I got up that day and Allah gave me the name. I just opened my mouth and I said, Movement for Islamic Culture and Awareness. And that's how MICA was passed. At that time, there were quite a number of us who were running around. There was Jumai, there was Bisola Okunu, Jumai Akishola, there was Sherifa Otiti, there was Fife Daudu, Bayo Akeju, Yemi Adetunji, Tola Atekoja, his wife, quite a number of us, young people who were at that time still struggling with our Islam. And that was why we brought ourselves together and said, we will grow together. We will not judge ourselves, but we will improve our Islam together. And that's what has happened, alhamdulillah. Now, how did Wale become how did Justice Abiru content? I'm really very sorry. I forget he's a justice of the Supreme Court now. I'm sorry, Justice Abiru, all due respect. How did he become a mayor? We used to hold our meetings at Jamatul Islamia Mosque at that time. And Justice Abiru and I were working in the same law firm, Bentley, Do and Co. And I walked up to him one day and said, you know what, Justice Abiru, there is somewhere I want you to come. And he said, MC, you started. I said, no, now I know that Tom is already in the picture. I'm not about to marry a second wife for you, but I want you to come somewhere. And I invited him to Jamatul that day. We had a meeting. I knew it in my heart it was going to be their mayor. And I knew that when everybody else saw it, they were going to be me. So we were already in Jamatul, of course, Wale. Justice Abiru is a punctual person, and he came quite early. And he walked in. Jumai Bisola and I think Tony was there. We were all sitting together. And when he walked in, we all looked at ourselves, and I knew what was going on. We didn't say anything. We held that meeting. And in the course of the meeting, I whispered to Jumai that, Jumai, this is our name. And she goes, and Bisola and Tony, and all of us kept doing. They didn't know him, they hadn't met him, but just looking at him. And I hadn't said anything to any of them. And that was how we all agreed. And Justice Abiru became mayor. And he's our global mayor now. I most especially welcome Mrs. Stone Abiru to this event. In those days, we used to hold meetings in our home. And we would go to Justice Abiru's home and turn everywhere upside down. And she would feed us. And after feeding us, she would go off to her fellowship. It didn't matter. She gave us all the time we needed. And she was there for us. Thank you very much, Tom, and welcome to this celebration of your husband. In conclusion, I would like to say that I wouldn't go over what the moderators have said by recognizing the people here, but protocol does recognize that I welcome some people. So, CJN of Nigeria. And her husband is here with her, our mother, Alaja Latifa Okuno. So Wabiru, welcome you. His Highness, welcome you. And the Supreme Court Justice is here. We thank you for coming. We do hope that you will enjoy the session, and we look forward to a very interactive and fulfilling session this morning. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Please, let's give her another round of applause. Thank you so much for those beautiful welcome remarks. So we're moving on very, very quickly to the distinguished panel. And we have 4 fantastic panelists. And the chairperson of the day is no other than the Honorable Justice Kudirat Hekere Ekun, GCON. So at this stage, it is my singular privilege and honor to invite up to the stage our chairperson. But before
So let me ask you to yourself.
the Honorable Chief Justice, Kudrat Otumori Olatokunbo, GCON, CJN, born on May the 7th, 1958. She earned a law degree from the University of Lagos in 1980 and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1991, and later received a master's degree in law from the London School of Economics in 1983. The Honorable Justice Kekere Ekun began her judicial career as a senior magistrate in Lagos, later serving as a state high court judge. She was appointed to the Court of Appeal in 2004 and to the Supreme Court in 2013. In 2022, she was honored with the Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, CFR. And on August the 23rd, 2024, to the delight of a lot of us, she was sworn in as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, making her the second woman and the first from the Southwest to hold this prestigious position. Please join me in welcoming our chairperson of the day, the Honorable Chief Justice Kekere Ekun, GCON. Please continue to encourage her as she comes. Thank you. Welcome, my Lord.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I greet you all in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. My Lords, Honorable Justices of the Supreme Court here present, my Lords, spiritual and temporal, Your Royal Highness, the Emir of Kano, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I'm most delighted to address you at this public discourse on ethics, morality, and the law, organized by the Movement for Cultural Awareness, MICA. Since its establishment in June 1994, MICA has steadfastly spread Islamic values and culture necessary for the improvement of contemporary society. The facilitation of this discourse, which coincides with its 30th anniversary, is a testament to MICA's unwavering commitment to the fulfillment of its core objectives and goals. While I earnestly look forward to the fruitful and rewarding deliberations that will ensue shortly, as the chairman of this auspicious occasion, I have been given the honor of sharing a few thoughts which will hopefully set the tone for further discussion. There's no gainsaying the fact that the pervading themes selected for this discourse, ethics, morality, and the law, are all crucial to the sustenance of peace, balance, and order within our society. Together, they serve as the basis and propelling force for human conduct, especially as it relates to both intrapersonal and interpersonal relationships. Morality, for instance, deals with rules and standards which serve as a benchmark for appropriate conduct in society, while ethics, often regarded as moral philosophy, examines human morality, probing what is considered morally right or wrong. Ethics evaluates the impact of morality on professions, including the practice of law, providing a structured framework for interpreting human actions. With respect to law, it is important to establish that there is no universally accepted definition of the concept. While definitions have often been faulted for their focus on singular and particular aspects of law. The author and professor of law, Edgar Bodenheimer, aptly captures its complexity, observing, quotes, that the law is a large mansion with many halls, rooms, nooks, and corners. It is extremely hard to illuminate with a searchlight every room, nook, and corner at the same time. From society's perspective, law is loosely translated and viewed through the lens of justice, morality, reasoning, order, and righteousness. The nexus between law and morality finds expression through the natural law theory, which posits that morality influences society's understanding of the legal system. The relationship between these two concepts is therefore complementary, as both seek to order interpersonal relationships through justified norms. Law has been recognized as a primary factor influencing moral standard, especially given its enforcement mechanisms, making it challenging to dispute that both morality and the law are deeply embedded in religion and tradition. Indeed, the common man's perception of law is often shaped by these influences. The holy books, the Holy Quran and the Bible, outline commandments and moral guidelines that are fundamental to the faithful of both Islam and Christianity, shaping the moral frameworks that underpin the lives of many. In a traditional setting, what was considered law emerged from commonly accepted values within society, where moral absolutes, right and wrong, were clearly defined. This differed from the complex mechanisms of proof, adjudication, and the presumption of innocence that now characterize modern legal systems. In this light, the courtroom is sometimes viewed as an adversarial arena, a sentiment captured in the Yoruba saying, which loosely means no friendship after court proceedings. The discourse we are about to engage in is premised on the belief that good morals and ethical conduct are most effectively sustained with the support of the law and the judicial system. Just as the law itself evolved from a collective desire to uphold moral and ethical standards, it has become essential in structuring a society that aligns with higher values in accordance with divine commandments. The interplay of these concepts, ethics, morality, and the law, has not only shaped our legal system, but continues to reinforce societal norms and expectations. In exploring this relationship, we must consider how the law, ethics, and morality have impacted society together and separately. Historically, these three elements have contributed to the evolution of our court systems, establishing the foundations of justice that we rely upon today. The influence of the two Abrahamic faiths prevalent in our society, Islam and Christianity, has been instrumental in shaping these standards, impacting societal mores and norms that the law subsequently embodies and enforces. The role of the legal practitioner within this framework merits particular attention. The lawyer, often seen as both antagonist and protagonist in the pursuit of justice, must navigate a terrain where law, ethics, and morality intersect. This dual role requires balancing the strictures of the law with ethical considerations, often contending with moral and legal questions that may seem at odds. As a minister in the Temple of Justice, the lawyer's commitment to justice involves upholding legal standards while advancing principles that honor society's ethical expectations. The essence of jurisprudence is indeed the study of this relationship between morality, ethics, and the law, especially when considering the historical distinctions between courts of law and courts of equity, which reflect humanity's ongoing quest to balance justice with fairness. Equally significant is the perspective of the ordinary citizen who observes and assesses the extent to which ethics, morality, and the law coexist harmoniously in society. When clerics preach and courts dispense justice, there is an expectation that legal outcomes will reflect the ethical and moral standards that underpin societal values. The degree to which this alignment is achieved influences public trust in the judiciary and the law, affirming that our legal system should not only administer justice, but also resonate with the community's moral convictions. It is essential, however, to recognize for societal advancement, law cannot be supplanted by moral or ethical indications alone, given the diversity of moral and ethical perspectives. The assertive nature of the law is therefore indispensable for peace, order, and security, goals that cannot be reliably achieved through ethics and morality alone. Public acceptance of the law also hinges on its alignment with fundamental principles, the need for clarity, stability, and independence of the judiciary, as well as the fair exercise of authority by law enforcement. With our presenters drawn from various demographics, I have no doubt that the discussions today will be both robust and engaging, offering us valuable insights into the nuances of these themes. Distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, in concluding my remarks, I would like to heartily congratulate my brother, Honorable Justice Habib Adewale Olumuyiwa Abiru, Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, whose well-deserved elevation we celebrate today. His Lordship has undisputedly distinguished himself in the judicial sphere, both as an academic and a jurist of great repute. As such, this honor is well-deserved and is by extension a clear reflection of MICA's unwavering commitment to encouraging, promoting, and advocating for Islamic excellence within the society. Furthermore, I must not fail to recognize and commend the assiduous efforts of my Lord Honorable Justice Latifa Bisola Okuno, Yemisi Busari, and all founding members of MICA for their dedication to this movement. The outstanding success and progress that has been recorded in the last 3 decades reflects the enduring value of their efforts. I therefore encourage all members to stay the course and remain devoted in advancing the distinctive vision of this movement. It is on this note I say, I thank you all for attending and wish us all fruitful and rewarding deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you. Another round of applause, please, from the Lord. Thank you so much for those very insightful and enriching words, our chairperson. And I would like you to remain on stage. Take a seat in the middle. Very much. Thank you so much. Please, another round of applause for our Chief Justice, the Chief Justice of the Federation. So now we're going to move straight into the discourse. I think the Honorable Chief Justice has set the tone around this very important theme of ethics, morality, and the law, which are all interwoven principles that guide human behavior within society. She also said in her speech that the concept of the rule of law essentially establishes that no one is above the law, and it is this principle that underpins justice, fairness, and societal cohesion. So we look forward with great excitement to hearing the perspectives of erudite intellectuals in their own fields on this subject. And to quote the Honorable Chief Justice, she said, law is viewed through the lens of ethics and morality. So I'm going to hand over to my co-compare to introduce and to invite the first 2 panelists, and then I'll come back to introduce the other 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being a very attentive audience. Before I proceed to invite the first 2 panelists, I'd like to first of all bring to our attention that
This program is also being streamed online. Secondly, I'd like to implore those of us who are seated at the back to please fill up the seats in front to make the room so you can hear the speakers more audibly. The first panelist I'm going to invite is Dr. Bashir Ali Umar. Dr. Bashir Ali Umar, Officer of the Order of Elijah, OON, is going to speak on ethics, morality, and the law. He's going to be speaking from the Islamic perspective. Dr. Bashir Ali Umar, as he proceeds to the stage, I would say a little more on that stage. There's always a round of applause for him. As I said, he's of the Masjid Al-Furqan of Kano, and he was born in Kano and has a degree in electrical engineering from Ahmadu Bello University. In the course of the program, there's need for us to say more about him. We certainly will. As I said, he is a recipient of the National Order of the Officer of Elijah, OON. The second speaker that I'll be inviting, he will be speaking on the same subject, but from the Christian perspective. He is the very Reverend Konsola Ajayi. Senior advocate, the very Reverend Konsola Ajayi is a professor of law with vast experience in legal aspects of money, energy, and infrastructure. I'll keep the applause going. He is the chaplain of Iman Chapel Methodist Church. He is a partner of Olani Ajayi. I'll hand over to my co-company to invite the next two speakers. Thank you very much, Rekia. It gives me great pleasure to invite up to the podium a third panelist, the person of Professor Niasu. Professor Niasu is a professor of political science and formerly faculty of social science, Lagos State University. He's a foremost academic with global footprints through his extensive teaching career and publication. Welcome, sir. He's also a resident senior fellow and chairperson, lecturer at Center for Democracy and Development in Abuja. And the fourth panelist is someone who really needs no introduction. Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, POM, former governor of Lagos State, former Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Please continue to apply. So, Mr. Fashola, thank you very much also. And thank you all esteemed panelists for being here. So we're now moving straight, without further ado, we're moving straight into the panel discussion. And we're going to call first on Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN to make your contribution on the topic ethics, morality, and the law, the role of the legal practitioner. Thank you.
Sorry.
I don't know the other ways to justice, permanent education. So we are witnesses, justices of the Supreme Court, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
The camera is not showing on this watch.
Who is that?
Very good position.
When Justice Zambia first asked me to come and participate, he said, somewhat emotionally tired, facing us matter morality, and subliminal faith issues can be sometimes very challenging. So I tried to do it. But it was very, very positive. And I'm glad that I accepted to come. And I'm truly, truly delighted to be here. And I want to start first by saying that, in my view, this occasion celebrates a lot more than Justice Zambia's elevation. And I say this for the following reason. That his late father, Justice Zambia, also served in the public space. I came to know him when he was chairman of the Lagos State Armed Robbery and Firearms Tribunal, set up back then to respond to the scourge of armed robbery in Lagos. I had the privilege to try some cases before him. And then his brother, now Senator Tokyo Abiru, not only served in our government in Lagos, here, but his brother also served in the public space and private space, in the executive branch of Lagos, and now at the legislative branch, making law for the Federal Republic. There's yet another Abiru, who also served in the Lagos House of Assembly, also contributing to our public development and making law for the people of Lagos. And for me, there's larger cost here. We have the cost, the cost of public service. And it occurs to me that right here in our own backyard, we have our experience. This event, but as I said, it is for a larger cause, public service, a family moving from generation to generation. I dare predict that there may yet be more adults who will commit to public service because of the noble cause. Now, he asked me to speak about the lawyer's perspective, and it's a long time that I was a lawyer.
Everyone is muted.
But I remember in that other life, it was a very good life. And trust me, I miss it. Until the day I was conscripted, for 14 years, I can't remember one day that I was not in the country. And that's how I knew many parts of Nigeria, from Zaria to Kwahia to Aba, Port Harcourt, Enugu, pleading causes before various justices of Nigeria's courts of record. And it is from that experience that I will make my presentation, because I think that's what I was requested to come and do. How do you see it as a lawyer? So I'd like to start by saying that perhaps the greatest tool that the human civilization has ever invented is law. We've invented many tools, and that's why we have survived beyond our well-known ancestors who have been well documented. But law has kept us going. It has separated us from animals. And they resolve their disputes and their conflicts, which are necessary, by might. But law has constrained us to the civilization that we now enjoy. And to quote Thomas Hobbes, that if there was no law, life really would be nasty, it would be brutish, and it would be very short. Of course, I acknowledge that ethics and morality are the foundations, to my view, from which laws spring. And I make the point that often what then becomes legislated or accepted as law is a function of what society now says this is the way to do it. And it often comes in the pursuit of development. As we become more civilized, we become more knowledgeable, our positions change, our moral compass is also expanding. And the very popular example I like to use, which perhaps we walk past now, is that today it is no longer common to see people smoking. About 40 years ago, you could smoke on any flight. If you see old photos of very prominent Nigerians back then in the offices, you will see the place filled with smoke. But knowledge told the human civilization that this thing is harmful. And over time, they started to make laws to say, you can't do it here, do it there, you can't do it here, and also for our own benefit, health benefit. So just to make that connection about how our knowledge, our ethical compass shapes what we then turn into law. But moving forward very quickly because of time, I then point to, of course, the Abrahamic faiths, about the story of our great ancestors, Adam and Eve, and their reported fall from grace. It was because they disobeyed the rule. And we all know what that means. So, as beneficial as law has therefore been to the human race, it has also at times become harmful, sometimes becoming insufficient in resolving our interaction. And in this regard, I want to focus on two examples of case law to make the point that I seek to make. Because as law then became either harmful, because tools can be harmful, I call it a tool, or insufficient, we started also devising some principles. And one of the first principles I wish to refer to is the one expressed in the Latin maxim, ubi ius, ibi remedium. And what it simply means that wherever there is a right, there must be a remedy, if that right. We must find something. Somebody is injured, we can't say that there is no answer. Lord will find a way. And I refer to a case, for those who are not lawyers, don't bother yourself, because of it reported in 1954. And but the point I wish to make in referring to this case is that there was a dispute before a judge. And one of the lawyers said, you know, this man can't get a remedy in this court. And the judge asked him, why can't we give him a remedy? He said, nobody has ever done what he wants to do. And then there was this judge, Lord David, very remarkable for his progressive thinking. And he said, look, listen, I don't agree with that thing. And this is what he said. So I will quote him. What is the argument on the other side? Only this, that no case has been found in which this has ever been done before. That argument did not appeal to me in the least. If we never do anything which has not been done before, we shall never get anywhere. The law will stand still while the rest of the world goes on, and that will be bad for both. And consider find a relief for the injured litigant before. So back to what I said, law can be harmful sometimes. Sometimes it can be insufficient. But again, proactiveness, progressive thinking, such as deadness are found a way. And of course, this brings the principle who be used in the back home very closely. And it is with respect to the recent case involving the federal government and the 36 states of Nigeria about local government funds and allocations. And perhaps unknown to some, this is not the first time. There was an attempt back in 2004, 2005, when this matter went to the Supreme Court, and they were divided 6-1. And they said that there was no way we can avoid this. I don't quite remember the citation. But in this current case, Justice Abel coincidentally sat in this appeal. And it was about the concern and reported that some state governments were mismanaging local government funds or were misconducting themselves with regards to it. Long and short of it, there's a provision in the Constitution, Section 162, I think, subsection 6, which says that monies that should go to the local governments should be paid into an account called the State Joint Local Government Account. Very clear, sir. But the Supreme Court in this instance said, no, we won't do it that way. That, sir, which is mandatory, as we have decided before, we will use one of our own tools when we construct SHA as permissive. We will use another tool called agency. The states are agents of the local government. And we know that under law, somebody who does something through an agent really is acting by himself. We will pay the money directly to them. And so they came to a conclusion that this nonsense that is going on allegedly in the local government, we will stop it somehow. And they came to the conclusion that it was appropriate to pay the monies directly to the local government. But interestingly, Justice Abel, while they agreed, the majority dissented on the point about Section 162 subsections. He said he cannot agree. Because there were very clear provisions, and that according to him, quoting him, that if they interpreted Section 162 that way, they will be making judicial legislation. But the point to make by reference to this decision is that again, who will use EB remedium, we will find an answer based on the tools we have. And so, this then takes me very quickly, before I move to history. Perhaps not enough of us recall how we got here. There were some references in that judgment. Before 1999, local governments used to go directly and collect their money. They used to call it jack. For those who are familiar with the then local government system, I see Elijah Latifa nodding her head. She remembers. So, but at the time up to 1999, those who were, if you follow history, by 1999, there were thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of local government workers who had not been paid for years. Some of the local government officials then will collect the money and will do other things with it. They didn't pay staff. Even the Abrahamic faiths say that the worker must be paid his due once he has done the job. So I think that that is a particular moral purpose in this last decision. That how can you not pay people? How can you not develop society? And so these are my perspectives as a lawyer, which takes me to one of the first things I learned as a very young lawyer, when some quote and unquote strange decisions were given. And my teachers then used to tell me, no, you must learn how to rationalize decisions. That there is always a point. And of course, this leads to the epithet or the often description of Supreme Courts across the world as policy courts. Sometimes you just find a way and they have all the tools. So I once appeared before them, and while I was referring them to their rules, one of them said to me, Mr. Fashola, we know our rules, we wrote them. So leave them alone. So sometimes in the interest of good governance, Supreme Courts across the world come around like that to make this kind of governance. Of course, as I said, I will now go, and this is my last point, about the law seeking to protect itself from its own purpose. Sometimes the application of law can be very harsh. And because it is a human invention, there is no human invention that is not flawed. Only Allah is perfect. There's no human invention that is not. So it has caused injustice. And so sometimes the law tries to protect us by taking away people who are harmful to us. And in that process, we go into the realm of criminal law. And either they confine them so that we can be safe, or in the extreme measures, they just sentence them to death so that we remove them. And even all of those death sentences are now being reviewed, and maybe some things were not quite right. So issues such as presumption of innocence, which my Lord says, were tools again within law to say, hey, let's be careful here. Did we get it right? Did we not get it right? And so, and nothing illustrates this presumption of innocence principle and its importance more appropriately than one famous movie that was shot in the last decade. It's titled When They See Us. I don't know if you watched that movie. It was set in New York, where some teenagers were just rounded up one attorney general trying to impress the public, and then they just deal them for an offense they didn't commit. They spent the better lives of their productive years in jail. And they came out when they were like 50-something, and it was found out that they hadn't done anything. Some of them, I think, had died. And so it is to those very harmful, unintended, but very grave consequences that the Lord has said, let's be careful. And he developed another principle, the famous statement, that it is better for 10 guilty men to go scot-free than one innocent man to be committed to confinement. Now, what does this then really mean? And this is where sometimes people who are not trained in the law then look at us and say, you lawyers are liars. How did that man broke that man's head? How did he walk free? And he goes on to the principles of justice according to law. It is not justice according to how we see it, but there are rails and safeguards to make sure that we got it right. After all, there will be a next time. And so, as I said, 2 cases, and I go to the second case, that I will wrap up, I assure you. So the second case, of course, this is personal. I argued the appeal in the Lagos Court of Appeal there. But just to set the standard, we are in Muson Hall, not so. How many of us remember KGV in Lagos? King George Field. How many people know that place? So, but King George Field is just, I think, this way. And there's a stadium called the King George Field Stadium. And it actually shares a wall with this building. So let us close our eyes and imagine that somebody was charged with an offense that happened at Muson. The offense was Muson. But all the evidence was that it happened at KGV. That was all the evidence. And let us assume that we have never been to Lagos before. Does Muson and KGV sound the same? If we were judges, would we have convicted that person? That's exactly what happened in this case. So, the case is reported as Ishola versus the state in the Court of Appeal number 274 of 2000. And the charge at the trial was with respect to an armed robbery that took place on the Ijora Bridge. We know Ijora. But all the evidence was that the armed robbery occurred at Austin. We know that they are contiguous, not so. We Lagos people. I'm sure His Highness knows Durham Austin too. So, but long and short, in spite of all the evidence being at Austin, they convicted Ishola, sentenced him to death by hand. That was when we took the appeal. Now, the point to make here is that no matter how knowledgeable the judge is about that area, that is not his job. And that is what seems strange to non-lawyers, that we are lying. This is justice according to law. The evidence doesn't match the charge. That person must go home. And this was what the Court of Appeal said when they set aside the death sentence and discharged and acquitted the appellant. Interestingly, this particular Ishola had confessed to 30 robberies. Yes, so I forgot that. He was a confessed criminal, but they didn't charge him with those robberies. And the only one they charged him with, he said, I didn't do it. I was not there that day. I didn't go. Now, the Court of Appeal in part said, this appeal ought to be allowed. The judgment given on May 3, 1985, convicting and sentencing the appellant to death is set aside. In his place, I discharge and acquit the appellant. You see, this is the evidential part. Now, the principle I was talking about. The appellant should take this opportunity to turn a new leaf in his life. The confession shows that he is a kingpin of the underworld. He may not be so lucky the next time. So, this is justice according to law. That's how lawyers are trained to operate. The public will be outraged. But that's how we are trained to operate. We are not liars. And we are not manipulating things. If the evidence doesn't match it, so this speaks to the need, in my view. I'm concluding now by saying that lawyers and judges are therefore oftentimes they are not there when the things happen. This is a process of presenting the evidence, and judgments are like a product, it's like a factory. What does the lawyer offer? What support does the judge have in order to make the case into a judgment? The quality of every judgment, if you go and look properly, is to see who were the lawyers who assisted the court to come to those conclusions. And I conclude by saying that the need for better training lawyers, and that is a matter of discussion another day. Thank you very much.
So much. Thank you very much. So justice according to the law, and the tools that, law is a tool, and is the greatest tool, to quote Mr. Ashola, the greatest tool that has ever been invented is the rule of law. We also, just to summarize very briefly, said that the law must continue to evolve as a response to society's desire to promote and institutionalize moral and ethical living. But we do have His Highness, will be coming on stage at the end of this panel to tie all these discussions together. Thank you very much for your excellent contribution to the discourse. So my co-compare will introduce invite the next panelists onto the stage to come and make his contribution. The next contribution will come from the very Reverend Professor Consola Ajay, Senior Lecturer, who will be speaking as he comes up here, I must inform you that the governor of Kwara State, Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, is in online with us. A round of applause. We have slides for this next contribution. I'd like to ask IT to do the meeting. Ahmed, please prepare for the slides.
My lady, with your permission, I stay with System Protocol as I also with His Excellency Governor Israel Arens, Supreme Court, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. And so before my slides come on, I'd like to say a few things about this, and I'll be speaking about the lawlessness of the law, because I've been invited to speak today as a priest, and this to me is like a pulpit. And so, just suppose that I should speak with the Christian lens, and the only lens that allows me is to give you immunity from the law. And therefore, anything that I say cannot be used against me. And that if anything I say seems to be punching the judgment, I'm sure that I have immunity because I'm speaking as a priest, and there's immunity for everything that I say. And so, but in truth, everything that I was going to say has been succinctly put in a succinct manner about most admirable CJM. Everything that is to be said about this subject, she has put in a very short speech and in an affable manner, a bit difficult to reach in the true tradition of the profession. And so we thank her for that. And in her no-nonsense approach to judicial matters, she's following a no-nonsense approach to the issue. I believe that Hajia Utsari showed how who truly does that read. And I think it's such a great judge, but we know he was a ladies' man. Because they said it's actually Amir, because man was handsome. So, and that's the reason why I'm not responsibility. And Excellency said, oh, he misses the law. I don't know what he's going back. He doesn't miss it, it's making money. If he misses it, he's going back. Other lawyers, but he's making money. And so that's the reason why he's not back. But he then told us many things that I think are profound and go to what I would like to say. Including, as he said, that this family, the Kennedy Button, is not a man of the youth. Any of those old people. He has spoken about Maiwa is the most brilliant of all of them. And Maiwa is a first-class lawyer, and is doing what they have done to law and banking and public service to financial services and to legal aspects of money. It's one of the best brains in financial engineering of law. And so, please next time we speak first about it, not this one. And so, I think I like to stand on very broad shoulders of His Excellency, former governor, when he speaks about the rule of law. And I believe the CGN also spoke about the rule of law as that which underpins everything that I do. And the truth is, yes, the rule of law underpins us, but the rule of law, from the perspective of ethics and morality today, has underpinned us in decadence and lawlessness. And so, as I said, I'm speaking as a priest, not as a lawyer. And I had the coverage of this I will try to be as controversial as it may be. And so, please, and so, my question is, are we all what busy? I'm sure everybody has to say, like, from every point of view, morals or ethics. But I want us to ask ourselves, is it the case, when we talk about law, moral and ethics, that there is lawlessness in the law today? And they say there's lawlessness in the law today because the emir of Kano represents an emanation of that lawlessness, because he's one emir of Kano who has another emir of Kano under him. As a result of the judgment of our courts, in spite of warning from the office of the CGN at that time. And so the question for us as Muslims, as people of faith and as judges, is whether this is the law that we speak about. This is the law that is underpinned by the rule of law, or this is the law, as Dr. Fashola said, is the greatest invention of man. The thing that is enduring and is resilient and ensures that we are not like animals. But when we will not be animals, when the law is not the law. Because the theory behind what he says is that the law provides certainty, but the law today is providing the greatest uncertainty that you can think about. Otherwise, we would not have a court in Nigeria today say there should be elections in Rivers, and another one says there must be no elections. Now, what then is morality in that, and what then is ethics in that, and what is it that we're doing in this process? What is it that we're doing when we say that we're subjects of the ultimate guardian of faith, the Almighty Allah? When we say that we are the faithful and seek His mercy, and we know that the Almighty Allah, God Most High, is a God of justice. What is the justice in you? At home, I'm not talking of the bench, nor am I talking of the law. And that is why I ask. Because what risk is an anomaly. Is a man that possesses as a woman, and is a man that lives a false life. And the question, therefore, is whether we, Muslims and Christians and judges, live false lives. It's next. And so today, I intend to tackle ethics, morality, and the law from the mountaintop like a priest, as you see, and the mountaintop was Moses, who we all know, whether not Muslim or Christian, and with the lamentations of Jeremiah. Jeremiah was a prophet that came and was always lamenting about the injustice in society as the emir of Canaanites. That's why I stand here today to speak about those things and hide nothing, to speak the message of God, who is the author of morality and ethics and indeed the law, and requires the law to be underpinned by these things. And the law is not just what the CGN sits on top of. The law is what she sits at the top of, and she is at the top of society, not President Bola Tinubu. Because the way our constitution is designed is such that she is the one with the last say. That is why Justice Abiodun can tell all the local governments in Nigeria and all the governors that what you want to do cannot. So let us begin to look at our position, and especially the judges, and as people of faith, what we do. And I think the reason why they asked us to come here today is because we want us to rethink about society and to go back to the lamentations that we see in society, because we all know of the lamentations in society. There's nobody that is immune from it, no matter how rich or poor or or high or low that you are. But tell me the rich man that is not in traffic, or whose Rolls Royce are not in potholes, or who, when he goes out, is not subject to attack by insurgents or armed robbers, even if he has police, or who does not get to meet area boys on the streets. Now, not people want to be area boys, but who have been turned into area boys because of the judicial system. Judicial system is the one that creates these people. We do one thing, all of us people of faith, we blame the judges. It's true that the corruption index says the judiciary is the second worst emanation of corruption in the nation. I didn't say so, that's what United Nations says, by the data and the Bureau of Statistics, after the Nigerian police, judiciary. And when you pour down into it, really, and I'm speaking about the dialogues of Ezekiel, another prophet, who warns us that if we don't sit down and listen to the demand for real justice in the system, God will come down himself upon us. And I think it is important that I say this, and I'll come to it later, that as people of faith, we all say we are faithful because of one thing. We want to end up in heaven, whether it is to marry self-virgins, or whether it's to rest in Jesus Christ, or whether it's to rest eternally, or it's whether to be forgiven our sins. Let us know this. And that's the eschatology of life. The commonality between the Muslim and the Christian, and indeed every man, that there is an end to all of us. And I warn the judges as a Christian that because God is the author of justice and is called the just one, that is sealed through Ezekiel. I have told you as a judge, because the judge was created to help Moses in the beginning, as advised by his father-in-law David. I said you cannot alone be solving the problems. Appoint judges to help men, and after him, he then had judges, both male and female. Even at that. And so, what the Holy Book says is this, that I have told you, I have appointed you as judge over these people. I have given you power. You should reveal to them what is wrong, what is wrong. If they do something that is wrong, and you do not tell them to do justice, you will suffer more than you do. However, if you tell them what is wrong, and they do what they do, that is wrong, you will be blessed. Judges, know this. There is dire consequence for the injustice that we talked about, from the inconsistency that in your decisions that have no taint of any morality or any ethics, of judgments that just bring disrepute to the whole of the Nigerian nation. Brothers and sisters, the Nigerian judiciary was one of the best judiciaries in the world. Australia, New Zealand, the whole of the Commonwealth were referring to Nigerian court decisions. Nigerian courts, our decisions in the 50s and the 60s was what was creating precedent in the best legal systems in the world. Ask as a practicing lawyer, he doesn't know. When we write opinion expert, we give an opinion, they say, hey, do you mean this is true? How we say it is? They say it's not true. We show them they say it's not true. Because they think it's unbelievable. They cannot understand why there are three consistent judgments. They cannot understand why a Nigerian Supreme Court of a panel of 7 judges will say that the court has no jurisdiction, and a panel of 5 judges 5 months after, with some of the judges in the first panel saying things directly. So what is the moral to that, and what is ethics to that? And as I said, let the judges know, let them hear that there is punishment by God for this reason, because He has empowered you to be judged. Because sit back, who are you to judge over me? You are born by a man as I was born by a man, or by a woman. I'm so sorry. Okay, I was said by a man as I was said by a man. But God has elevated you. And you know what? We too then elevate you. We make you judges, and our constitution says you have the last word. They say they're infallible. They say they're not God, but they're like God. And we accept it. And so if you are like God, what should you do? And then if we, the users of the system, I'm not a God, but as a litigant, know that they are judged, why should I try and bribe God? Why would you want to bribe God? You must know that it will end in nothing else but failure. And then the other part of this is this, about judgments and the system without morality and ethics, is that, you know what? Forget about heaven. Let's assume that you are an unbeliever. Judge, as I presented to Court of Appeal judges about 15 years ago at a seminar organized by NDIC, why they must give you good judgments. How if you give a bad judgment that affects the whole system, your pension would not get to you. Your labor, I wonder how judges work. They work so hard, and then retire. And then can you imagine you don't get your pension? Because there are many judges in some states that don't get their pension. But you know why they don't get their pension? Because of the bad judgments that you wrote. So begin to know this, that even here on earth, and this is coming to what our religion says, you will suffer the consequence of what you do. When you take that bribe, where are you going to spend it? In this same society? You can't enjoy it. But you know what? Our judges, as I said, are the best. Like from anywhere. This country is the best, very best. Setting the stage for many things. And they lived in the best parts of time. They had the best cars. They had real police. Not, you know, when everybody knows you have 10 naira, you two have police on them. And judges respected themselves. They behaved truly like people with high moral standards, high ethical standards. But is that what we see today? And it's for the audience to answer. Whether you look at your judges and you say, oh, this is somebody that I should emulate. Because what your religion tells you is that you must live a life that is indicated that you're a man of faith. You must live a life which others will say, which God do you serve? That you are so distinguished. It's not about money. It's about distinction. It's about impact. And so when you look at your judgments, oh judge, ask yourself, is it judgments of impact? And so these things are very important. But let me move very quickly. And not just talk about judges, because the same thing about judges. But it is important. Okay. It's very important that we bear this in mind. That some of us think that if the judiciary is truly right, Nigeria will change. Many people have been saying there should be war, revolution, coup. You don't need all those things. Nothing is going to change if the judiciary does not change. And so truly, the judiciary is the last hope of the country. And the other point, therefore, as I show here, is that it's about me now. It's about him, not me. I'm a priest. Him, you know, he wants to be a lawyer. See these lawyers, the things they do, they make hand robbers go free. You know, it's fair that they're sitting all over the place, but let them go free. So let's go what's going on. But so what you can see from this image is about the judge, about the executive, and the judiciary that made these laws. It's not just judges. All of us must look at the moral ethics of what we do. The legislators that abuse their powers, and you know, I speak to his girlfriend, he will invite me to the house to come and and so many people that have suffered in their hands will see this. And the truth is this: is justice can Can you please move very quickly? Because I really was hands. I've written a paper of 30 pages to be shared. But let me just say one or two more last things. The first thing is this: morality and ethics is something that is important, but in doing it as people of faith, It is not about dogma. So I must not, as a Catholic, refuse to divorce a man and a woman because the Catholic Church says you cannot divorce. And that's not dogma. Now, that is dogma. Check any religion. There's a common thread through them. Love, justice, righteousness, uprightness. Treat yourself and your neighbor as yourself. These are the things that should help to drive your judgment, as my brother here mentioned earlier. And so it's fundamentally important that you begin to look at how ethics must influence what you do, as we see in some of very few cases on the Supreme Court. And I will tell you as it is. People will tell us, no, we complain. We complain today, and we yearn for yesterday. But we believe that tomorrow, as people of faith, is one of hope. Justice is burning. Justice is burning society. We must be careful to make sure that it's not what will bring the house down. We must be careful. We must make sure that it is justice that ends up helping society. And so let me end by saying that what is it that we must do? Judges must go back to realizing that they have a special position in the eyes of God and under our Constitution. I'm permitted to speak in Yoruba because CN spoke in Yoruba. The white chicken must know that he is special. They are all white chicken. But guess what? The judges are just our agents. All of us are judges. All of us must abide this. And lastly, let us know, let us see the nation. When the law and morality contradict each other, which is what is happening, the citizen has the cruel alternative of either losing his moral sense, which is what we're seeing. You see, young people now wanting to do things that are bad because people that are doing things that are bad get away with it. Because of the judicial system is not holding them. The law will not hold them. The police will not hold them. Because police catches, prosecute, cut off free. And so that rises or we lose respect for the law. And when we lose respect for the law, everything goes. So please, let him who has ears, let him get them. Thank you.
Wow. Please, a huge round of applause. That was fantastic. Judges are extremely special. They're in an exalted position and they can essentially save the nation. The position they're in is one in which they should not pervert the course of justice. And the principles are universal regardless of our faith. Love thy neighbor, dispense justice, be upright, and be ethical and moral in what you do. Please, another round of applause.
For the benefit of the House, greets His Lordship, Right Reverend Pelu Johnson, the Bishop of the Archdiocese of Lagos. Thank you, Bishop, for coming.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I hope you're all enjoying this so far. Very insightful, very inspirational. And I have no doubt, we have no doubt whatsoever under the leadership of the Honorable Chief Justice of Nigeria and personalities such as the celebrants today and the other distinguished members of the Supreme Court here present, that our judiciary will return to its old glory and be the bastion, the last bastion for the people. Thank you so much, Reverend Moyajayi, my brother, for that fantastic contribution. Our next distinguished panelist is a professor, Professor Ilyasu Adele Jinadu.
I would like him to come to the podium to make his own contribution. And he will be focusing on ethics, morality, and the law, just the general understanding for a social construct. Please give him a round of applause.
I start by being my very CPA and also my sister and that over to go universities. Both CPA and as a young man, I saw him selecting as a role model. I did strong at the school. He was a role model and very interesting that he must follow the intellectual path. And looking at him, I was also stipulating that is also the high code. I was also, and I'm happy that his daughter is doing something. I don't know how to describe the relationship. I'm from the Lele family. She's from the Lele family. And he's married to my brother. So we are one. Both with blood and soul. I pay my due respect to his evidence. Emmy of Kano. Not only because he is the Emmy of Kano. He followed me to King's College. And I was so florid. I must also pay my respect to the governor of Lagos, who at a very tempestuous time in my own academic career was a visitor to Lagos State. I pay my respect to everyone who's here. I was asked to speak as an ordinary person, but I'm an ordinary person who happens to have a very deep interest in the topic of today's seminar, because my own training as a political scientist, right from the time I took my first degree in philosophy, politics, and economics at Oxford, and then went on to university in the USA to do a PhD in political science with a minor in moral philosophy. I've always felt that politics, law is about politics. Don't let us make any pretense about that. Law is about politics, and politics is also about law. So there is that interface between politics and law that we must always keep in mind. But my own training in philosophy and politics also tells us that the best way to approach public issues is through what I call the Socratic tradition and an analytic tradition. Because words have multiple meanings. Words are ambiguous. And part of the problem we have in politics and law is that we fight over the meaning of the words. They are very fundamental. And because of that, we cannot approach social issues without starting from the premise that there are contradictions that we must explain. Things are not the way they should be, and things are not the way they appear to be. And I think that is what I would call the tragedy, the absurdity of the human condition. Take the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I'm an example. And of course, the whole religious experience is built from the great tradition of the Prometheus bifurcation. Man has an incredible capacity for good, he also has an incredible capacity for evil. But beyond that also, because of the ambiguity and the contradictions of human experience, moral choices are not simply between good and bad. For me as a person, the most difficult moral conundrum I faced is deciding to do good things, do good choices. The existentialists make the point about, a young man who's just been called up for service in the French Union to go to war. And the party was built, the mother fell gravely ill. So, should he stay with his mother? Or should he follow the path of the church? How can you decide that? It's not a choice between good and bad. But we reduce morality to the purpose of between good and bad. And in moral philosophy, there is this whole thing about we consequentialist ethics, that the good and bad of position is not simply in the abstract, but when you are faced with circumstances and you have to make a choice. If I pursue this choice which is good, what are the consequences? If I pursue this other choice which is good, what will be the consequences? I have promised as an institution, we must always keep promise. I'm going to the lecture to give lecture to my students, and I must be there punctually. I'm on my way. There's an accident. Should I stop and help carry that person to go and then break my promise to get in the classroom by 10 o'clock? So the point I'm making here is that on a daily basis, we are faced acute moral choices, and those moral choices are not necessarily good and evil. The proper popular Yoruba song we used to sing when I was a child. If your wife and mother are drowning, which one will you save first? So this is the field, and I think it's important to keep this in mind. Now, my paper is structured in such a way that I start with theoretical issues concerning us. And one of them, of course, is the source of law. The other between natural law and law generally. Is it in society that we guess our own ideas are both good and bad? Hobbes says that we left the state of nature because we needed to live in society and create rules that will govern us. Otherwise, it's not the rule of the government. But then what he then says is that then let us create a Leviathan whom we give complete power. Locke says no, even in the state of nature, we have certain moral values. And for those moral values that are lead the state of nature. So it is not public. Government is not so wrong that there's something invented because as human beings, there is a natural law which we must respect, and the case was just positive law. So it's not just law as it is, but law as it ought to be, and that the role of the law is to make the law as it ought to be, and that is why you have a sociological school of jurisprudence who says that law must have fidelity to justice. Because there are bad laws which judges would not, in terms of ultimate, just want us to be human beings. Otherwise, why do we condemn dictators of authoritarians? There must be a standard. It's not just positive law. It's not what the legislators sit down and trying to promote their own self-interest. And we have to follow. We must be able to criticize them because sometimes the law they are making is in fact a partial law that is their own self-interest, not the self-interest of all of us as human beings. Now, so I think it's important to keep that in mind. Then there's also the whole point about what we said is the purpose of law. What's the purpose of law? It's simply reformative, retributive, or to expect our vengeance against those who break the law. So I think we need to start from that basis. And I want to go from there. I will not look at my text, but let the one that I people put across today. We are today in Nigeria. We are, I don't have, I think, morality, truth does not. Character has not become something we embrace in terms of what we expect from our public functionaries. So, law, the professions, and so on, have been practiced in an environment, very, very toxic, in which politicians are determined to have their way. And they go all out to destroy every institution that is in their way against them. And I think that is the point we have to create. And we are now at a point where we are being so scared because there is one word we are not used today, immorality. We are at a point where we just don't even care about moral values. We are turning towards immorality. And that is what is killing us. Now, in terms of where the law should be going, I just want to make 1 or 2 points. The first point is I think the way our legal training in this country needs to be used. This is public interest law. Public interest law is very, very, it's in the background of it. And that is why we have some problems that we have today. People go for law because they think there's money to be made. And they go for those areas of law where they think they can make money. The whole question of morality of law, of intersection of law, other institutions, and so on and so forth. In our legal training, I don't think there is any question. And that is why I think we are in a situation now where what is not simply technicalities of the law, the moral content, the jurisprudential dimension. I spoke to some friends and I put as a jurisprudence plays a very, very small part in our legal training. But it's not only in the law, even in the social sciences, the emphasis now is on where can I best make money? So history is now history and international studies. History and international studies. So that you can sell that outside. In political science, very little. So I think we need to go back and look at the way we teach in another. The university system is a terrible situation. And that's because the politicians have also assaulted the universities. They've assaulted them. Some of us went through that experience. Because we are punished for speaking up, but we had our conviction. So can we go to them? I can have a video without being a teacher. I'm an international person, I can go anywhere. But what I want to make simply is that the university, which should be the training ground, where we should let society, we serve as a mirror to society, so that society will see that there is something better than what they are. No, the university system has become part of the society itself. It has been corroded. So that environment doesn't can work well. And then we start blaming the judiciary at this, and university. But the point is that they are working in an environment, they have money. Look, the problems of morality and politics is not different in Nigeria from what it is in the US. But the difference is that there are some institutions that stand up and guard race for democracy. And the point I'm making is that the politicians are destroying institutions. Whether it is the EFCC, it is the police, it is the DSS, they are destroying them. And the British warned us about this. We long before independence, from 1951, when a responsible government started, they saw that the political class was not making the distinction between government and administration. They were using administration as a weapon to fight the game of politics, to harass their opponents. There are just sentences. If America can withstand Trump, but there are certain institutions that are solid. And when we were thinking of this new governance for Africa, create these horizontal institutions, create some horizontal institutions of governance, EFCs, Human Rights Commission, that outside of political control. We've done a study of a number of African countries where that has been done, as in Nigeria. And believe me, Nigeria is about the only country where the politicians have kept these institutions at bay. They have been used to harass opponents. And that's not the point. So unless we do that, take INEC, for example, they've started the power of the appointment is a power of removal. And that has been used systematically to remove INEC commissioners who refuse to be bought. So they just wait. Your first term is over. They just go to their parties. They remove you. Fortunately, the judiciary is lucky because the appointment in the judiciary is on the other page, unless there is cause. And then you have to go to parliament. But for all these other institutions, where the power of the appointment is there, they are using them to remove people who are not buying. So the point I'm making now is that, and that is my message to professional groups who are here. In England, in Canada, in Australia, and in other parts of the world, where politicians misbehave, forget about their grand statements. Oh, we are serving the people, we are your servants. This has just, and politicians say this everywhere. It is the professional groups who stand up to them and say, in terms of our professional ethics, we are not going to do this. That's the solution. But so we need to start that long process now of re-professionalizing our educational system, where professional ethics becomes important. And you're not, whether it's a lawyer in government service, a professor in government service, or you're an accountant, you will stand by your professional ethics and resign or leave the place if you want to. So I want to thank MICA for the good job they are doing in terms of, but there's one point I also want to make in terms of the judicial system, and this is based on our experience in other countries, particularly in East and South Africa, where you have a large Muslim population. Our system of law, in spite of the so-called separation between religion and law, is simply based on Christian religious values. And we must, I mean, this has implications for other aspects of law, not just criminal law, not just the Sharia, marriage and things like that. In Tanzania, in Kenya, in Mozambique, when there were Muslim groups, Indian groups, said they wanted their own concept of law to be reflected in their policy, their politics. How do they get away with it? This divide between North and South. Oh, most of it is North is predominantly Muslim, South is predominantly Christian. But that is not even true. In Southwest Nigeria, there's only a light Muslims and community. Customary law in the Southwest plays a very narrow role. The system of law is still predominantly Judeo-Christian. And we need to think about that in terms of implications for the rights of Muslims in society. This is something I think the MICA should start looking into. But in those other countries, they stood firm as a political group that this system of law is not Islamic. It does not is in fact Christian. And we want you to that as a part of society must be reflected in it. So I want to thank you for the opportunity.
Very much. We go up from, I think you've spoken like a professor. Thank you very much. I believe Professor Chinoki deserves more.
Your perspective on the topic of today's discourse, ethics, morality, and the law. Professor Jinadu said social issues must take account of interactions in life. He turned his lens at some point on the role that politicians have played in destroying our institutions, thereby contributing in no small way to the moral decay that we're witnessing. One thing that everybody must have is that we can put ourselves back. Great. Because in every culture, every society in Nigeria, there is that concept that I can articulate now. It has never ceased to be a part of discussion in every part of discussion. And if we can get that concept, we can easily put ourselves back. Really, I believe that's how we have started regain of such a said that we are not on time here. The very last contributor on this section before we want comments from the audience is Dr. Bashir Adani Umar. He is going to speak on this topic of ethics, morality, and the law, and is going to be speaking to this topic from the Islamic perspective. I would like to introduce. A round of applause.
Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin, nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa ba'd. Lordship, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the Justice Admiral, the Justice of the Supreme Court, His Royal Highness, the Emir of Sultan, the second, the distinguished panelists, and other honorable justices here present, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I greet you with the greeting of peace, the greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is really an honor to participate in this event of MICA after about over 20 years when I attended a similar event here in Lagos. And it is indeed very refreshing to see that we are celebrating the elevation of our distinguished brother to the Supreme Court. Ask Allah to bless him in his elevation. I was introduced to speak on this topic without being in the legal profession by His Highness the Emir. Once the Emir gives his direction, his instruction, I couldn't resist. And even though maybe because of my involvement in the task that I chaired, which he conceived, which is coming up with the draft law of with the draft code of Muslim personal status in Ghana. I chaired the committee, and we took several years going through that, and we are engaging in several legal arguments. So because of that, maybe the Emir saw I should contribute. But because I don't have that, the two caps that the very reverend has, the cap of the legal profession and the cap of the pulpit, and just here presenting the pulpit from the perspective of the pulpit. So inshallah, I have protection. And my own is even more because it's all going to be referring to the historical aspect of ethics and morality and the Sharia law. I will just highlight some salient things regarding the Sharia before talking on the relationship between ethics, morality, and the law. The law is conceived as the embodiment of the mercy of God to the human creation, because the essence of revelation itself is mentioned by Allah to be that mankind shall uphold justice. Which Allah said, we have sent our messengers with the truth and clear proofs, and we also sent down the balance so that mankind shall uphold justice. Upholding justice is central to the very essence of revelation. Because revelation regulates what is between man and God, and relation between man and his fellow beings, and relations between man and the environment and the world in which he is. And in all this, there is the need for justice, which is why it's so central that in several places in the Quran, it is repeated over and over again, that Allah created the heavens and the earth for the truth. The truth here has been interpreted to mean justice. And this meaning is so imbibed in the character of the first Muslims that when one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ was sent to take the portion that was due to the Muslim state from the conquered Jews of Khaybar. They wanted him to accept a bribe, and they said, you can actually reduce the amount, the total output, so that what is due to the state will be less and you will take the balance yourself. And he said, you very well know that I hate you as a people for what you are doing, but my hatred of you will not make me to deal unjustly towards you. And the Jews, they were so impressed by his statement, and they said, this justice that you are talking about is what upholds the creation of the heavens and the earth. So this realization is very, very important regarding the nature of the Sharia. That wherever you see justice being done, then that is where the will of God is. Wherever you see wisdom has been done, then that is where the will of God is. Wherever you see benefit is held, then that is where the will of God is. So in the higher intent in the Sharia, the fundamental purpose of the Sharia is to attain good and maximize it, minimize harm, and eradicate harm and minimize it. So the Sharia, we come now to the issue of ethics and morals. The definition of the Sharia, the Islamic law, gives it a universal connotation, because it is not a law that makes a distinction between crime and sin, but it is rather a law that embeds the whole of human character. So it is defined as the ordainment that are built by God to regulate the relationship of man and God, and the relationship of men among themselves, and the relationship with God and the whole creation, for the purpose of attaining prosperity and happiness in this world and the hereafter. And these ordainments, they are in the field of belief, worship, character, life transaction, and knowledge of the stages of the heart in its quest towards having realization of the attributes and sublime names of God, of Allah. So there is no dichotomy between the law, ethics, and morals. Ethics and morals are firmly embedded in the Sharia. In the legislation, that is why we find that in the legislation of the Quran, exhortations are being made. Not only punishments are being prescribed, but there are exhortations appealing the sense of ethics and moral in human beings. Like what Allah Ta'ala said when making revelation regarding the observance of the waiting period for divorced and widowed women. He says that you are, and the prohibition of seeking their hands in marriage, even if you are interested in them until they have completed the waiting period. He said, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ حَلِيمٌ. Know that Allah knows what is in your hearts, so beware of Him. And know that Allah is forgiving and is patient. And you see many injunctions in the Quran. Allah will say, this is better for you than this is better for the purity of, for the purification of your soul, the purity of your character. So these exhortations, they imply that in whatever instruction there is in the Sharia, these values and these considerations are central and paramount. Because God Himself, Allah Ta'ala Himself, who is the legislator, this is what He does. Well, definitely there are aspects of the legislation that comes from the jurists, because the law is dynamic and there are new happenings that are in need of new judgments, which is the area of the jurists. They come up with laws. They come up with laws, and these laws are given the status of the law of Allah. That is why one of the authors of Islam, he called his book, that is giving knowledge to the people who are signing off on behalf of the Lord of the universe. So the jurists, they are signing off on behalf of God. So in so doing, they have to have the first and foremost characteristic of someone who does ijtihad is al-adala, that is being just. And we'll see the definition of justice, which has firmly embedded the principles of ethics and morals. In the behavior of judges, justice, ethics and morals, in their appointment, as well as in their dispensation of justice, in firmly embedded. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he categorizes judges into three categories. He says, the judges are three. Two of them are in hellfire, and one of them is in the garden of paradise. The one who does not know what is just and he judges out of ignorance is in hellfire. And the one who knows what is just and he does not judge by it is in hellfire. And the one who knows the truth and the just cause and he judges by it, he is in paradise. Now these places are great. The meaning, the one who knows but does not walk by it, the only thing that will prevent him from not walking and not judging by what he knows is following his own desire and suppressing the morality that is expected of him and the ethics of his profession, because that is the only cause that will make him suppress the cause of themselves. And the warning is very clear that will take you to hellfire. On the contrary, the position that is promised for the one who knows the truth and judges by it is a sublime position. He is in paradise, and also he is listed as being among those whom whenever they raise their hands and pray to Allah, Allah will answer their prayer. And he will be among the ones who will be on the right hand of God on the day of judgment. The Prophet ﷺ said, those who are just in their judgments, they will be on pulpits of light on the day of judgment, on the right side of God. They are the ones who are just in their rulings, and they are just in whatever authority they in whatever position of authority they assume. So it is because because of this that in the appointment of the judge, he has to fulfill the qualities of uprightness and integrity, which is called al-adala. And al-adala is defined as someone who avoids major sins and who avoids continuous commission of minor sins. So it's not just fit and proper criteria that he has not been convicted, he has not been completed, he has not been convicted, and so forth. No, but it has to go to the hidden knowledge. So that is why the testimony will also have hidden knowledge of the person that is supposed to be appointed is normally requested. It has to be tested. Just as it is done with regards to witnesses, it is also done with regards of people who will be appointed to the position of being judges for the society. Now this position, this quality of uprightness, it shows that any evidence of corruption or anything that will taint the uprightness of a person will invalidate his position, which means all the judgments that he is making, they are in the sight of Allah, not void. And on account of that, you see, this is what I find to be the one aspect of the English language that I find very similar to Arabic. Integrity is from the word integer, which is a whole number, the opposite of a fraction, and it means that somebody is whole. So in Arabic, whatever word you have, you will find that it has a philosophical meaning behind it. The same thing applies here. In the dispensation of justice, the judge is supposed also to uphold the essence of integrity and morals, as we see in judging without fear or favor. We have very good stories, like the story of Shuraih al-Qadi, when his case, when Ali, who was the head of state at that time, he was the Khalifa, when he saw his armor in the possession of a Jew, and the Jews, you know, were Ahlul Dhimma, they were a minority in the Muslim community. So he saw his armor in the hands of the Jew. And he said, "That is my armor." He said, "No, it's not yours, it is in my possession." So he took him to the judge as the head of state. And the head of state, the judge, he sat them together at the same level. And then when Ali radiallahu anhu, he made the claim, he said, where is your testimony? Because this man, he has got the armor in his possession. So you have to bring evidence that it is yours. He said, "I have Ambar, who is one of the eminent people in the community. And I have Hassan ibn Ali, my son." He said, "Your son can't be a witness for you. Your son cannot be a witness for you." And he didn't give him, and he ruled in favor of the Jew. And the same thing too happened earlier with Umar ibn al-Khattab. He took a horse for deferred payment from a person, and the horse died. And the person went to ask for the price, and he said the horse had died. So they took the affair to the judge, and Al-Qadi said, "Have you mentioned a price or have you not mentioned a price?" He said, "I mentioned a price." Then he said, "You have to bear the loss. It is under your liability." So in the dispensation of justice, these values have to be reflected. As well, the litigants too. There is a very strong principle mentioned by the hadith of the Prophet that shows the essence of ethics and morals in relationship to the law. A legal right is not necessarily a right unless it is in reality a right. The Prophet ﷺ says, "You bring your cases to me. Maybe one of you will be more brilliant in expressing his position, and I will judge in his favor based on what I had. Because a judge is not supposed to judge by what he knows, but by what he had. So whoever I judge for him and I declare for him a right that is not rightfully his own, he should know that I am giving him a portion from that. Now people, they are assuming rights that are not only beneficial to them, but those rights, they reflect on the future of millions, like what is happening now, whereby elections are not decided by popular votes, but are decided by a panel of 3, 5, 7 judges. And the person who gets that condition, he knows that it is not his right and possession, and he will assume it. And for 4 years, he will be assuming that role. He does not realize that he is just swimming in the sea of hell, because that is not his right and possession. Now, nothing will stop somebody from doing this except his commitment to ethics and values. Let us realize that for us, the most important thing is that what we are having here and the judgments that we are receiving, they are not the absolute and the ultimate judgment. Allah has called himself Ahkamul Hakim, the most just of all the judges, and the judge of the people who dispense justice. What was meant here is going to be repeated in the hereafter. So we make preparation for facing Allah in whatever position we find ourselves in. And let us also realize the import of confidentiality in terms of morals and etiquette. These are our actions, what do they lead to? Judges have been advised, according to the Sharia, that they have to dispense justice based on what they have. But if the dispensation of justice would lead to a consequence, an evil consequence in terms of morals as well as ethics, then they should go for reconciliation. They should go for reconciliation, especially if that will lead to discord among near members of the family. All these are subjective considerations, but they are firmly established on ethics and morals, and they should be a guiding principle. And this is what the person of Al-Tuhfa said: وَصُلْحُ يَسْتَدْعِي لَهُ مِنْ أَشْكَلَ حُكْمٌ وَإِنْ تَعَيَّنَ الْحَقُّ فَلَا مَا لَمْ يَحَقْ بِلَافِذِ الْحِكَامِ فِتْنَةً أَوْ شَحْنًا أُولُو الْأَرْحَامِ. That reconciliation should be a tool that the judge shall employ when a judgment becomes obscure to him. But where the right of others becomes clear, he should not go for reconciliation, except in the case where he fears that the dispensation of justice, according to the rules, would lead to discord and would lead to enmity between their relatives. In which case protecting that is regarded as more paramount than the actual dispensation of justice. Wallahu ta'ala. Thank you very much for this.
I think we can do better than that. Thank you so much. So much. Thank you very, very, very much. And on that perspective, Islamic perspective on the subject of discussion today, we round up the submissions by the panelists. The next item on the agenda, I'd like to summarize it, frankly, running out of time, so if I can summarize for people who are just joining us online, but I assure you that a very robust time is full and wrap taking subsequently. And so at this point, we'd like to quickly move on to the comments. We have been furnished with a list for 5 persons who will be commenting today. And I'll allow my co-commenter to introduce the first person to make comments on gender discourse.
Thank you very much, Rekia. Please, another round of applause for this highly distinguished and erudite panel. It's been really a wonderful morning here today. So much to take away. But we just wanted to make this session just a little bit more interactive. So we'd like to open the floor to just a few comments before we invite His Highness, to the Khalifa to please kindly come and pull all the strands together for us. So very quickly, I'd like to first of all call on Alaja Atifa Okun to say a few words. I think if we can give her the mic. Thank you.
Thank you for the honor. Alhamdulillah, I joined in the celebration of 30 years of MICA, and I'm very proud to be associated with MICA because they are people of character and substance. They live according to the guidelines they set for themselves based on the guidelines from Allah, and they are cleaning society and making concrete contributions everywhere. May Allah continue to guide them, and may they also be guided into bringing up those who are coming behind them. Congratulations to the Amir of all times, and to the followers. Congratulations to everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Alaja. Thank you so much for those very kind words. The next comment we're going to be taking from Mr. Tunde Ajibade, SAN.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Dr. Stegger, and your kind permission to stand on the existing protocol. I think today's session has not disappointed. The quality of the contribution to the distinguished panelists has been quite profound. And the choice of the topic has also been significant. I was speaking to London Senior Advocate, Mr. Yannick and Johnson, who unfortunately had to leave, that the topic resonates so strongly with me because several years ago, a law firm that I have the privilege of managing organized a business luncheon in which the topic was almost exactly the same as this, but was just a slight twist. But morality, integrity, and ethics in the practice of law in Nigeria made for reality. And I was so delighted when I was listening to the last speaker, because when he spoke about integrity, I think that is such a linchpin in connecting everything that has been discussed. And I'd like to also, without taking too much time, just make that connection. I don't know if it was Professor Ajayi or His Excellency who said it, but the legal profession, I think, has such a significant role to play in society. And we sometimes underestimate the importance of the role that we have to play. A lot has been said here about judges, but I always say nobody was called to the bench. You know, judges were first lawyers. So it's not really just about judges, it's about the profession as a whole. And I think we underestimate the impact we have on where things stand in our country today. Again, I don't know if Professor Ajayi, His Excellency, who made the comment about conflicting judgment. You cannot blame judges for conflicting judgments without considering the people who are practicing before them. Are the lawyers themselves acting with integrity? Are we as lawyers acting with integrity and assisting the courts to do justice? I think the question, or the answer to that question is that we're not doing nearly enough. And we need to engage in a significant amount of introspection, self-introspection in the legal profession in this country. It's not just about the bench, it's about the bar as well as the bench. And if I could just say one more thing, because this really, the discussions have touched me so much. Professor Ajayi made the reference to Jethro. I think when Jethro advised Moses that he couldn't do this alone, he didn't say to Jethro, he didn't say to Moses that he should just go out there and pick 70 people. He qualified that recommendation. I think one of the challenges we're having also in our system is that we have lost sight of the importance of the judicial office and of the importance of ensuring that the selection process only produces people who appreciate that role and the judgment that they are. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We're now going to call on my sister, Kempo Braithwaite, to make a brief contribution, 2 minutes, please. Kempo. Can somebody get the mic to her? Very quickly. Thank you. And after that will be Professor Ashenwa.
Good afternoon, everyone. I stand on both the protocols that have already been established. I align myself with what the senior advocate said. All the submissions were excellent. Though I do not quite agree with Professor Jirodu about the issue of making this law being based on more Christian values. I think it's based on all religious values, because most religions teach, don't steal, don't corrupt, don't murder, and all that. So it is general, I think it goes across all religions. Then I just want to comment what I hear everybody say. One of the first things that we're actually taught, I think it's in jurisprudence, is that law and morals, they sometimes intersect, but not everything that is moral is illegal. I agree that the selection process of our judges and also even our lawyers, we need to look at that again. But I want to talk about just briefly about my role as an editor and a lawyer. What I try to do is to sometimes show the public when they think maybe a judgment is immoral, to see the law and the reasoning behind it. Leonard Silk, Governor Mashola, talked about the case of Mashola, who was the self-confessed and robber. But in the particular case that was consulted for, he said he wasn't there, and the evidence did not point to the fact that he committed the crime. Now, if that happened today, everybody would say the judge took bribe, is an armed robber or whatever. But I try to educate the public to show that the judge will only decide a case based on the law and the evidence that is presented, admissible evidence that is presented in court. So sometimes maybe there is an issue with what the public may think is, the judgment is immoral or whatever.
Thank you very much. Thank you, please. A round of applause for her. Thank you so much. We're now going to call on Professor Ashenwa, I hope I pronounced it correctly, Ashenwa, the Deputy Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos. Pardon me, my sister.
Thank you very much. All protocols duly
respected. I'm very sorry I did come in late because I had first to be part of the Lagos Women Run and then come back for this. And so I missed some of the conversations earlier, but I heard the last speaker. And I look forward to today because I think that the thing that we are looking at is most germane for now. And though driven by the movement for Islamic culture and awareness, I'm particularly delighted that we have a multi-religious input into the conversation. And I just want to say that I don't know if I missed it, I hope some other session will address it. Balancing ethics in this 21st century as what is ethical begins to shift, as what is morality is we're not a homogeneous society in terms of values. The values of don't kill, everybody will see that as normal, but there are other areas. And I know that's a challenge sometimes as a teacher of law, especially criminal law, is balancing the interest in a multicultural society. I really hope the conversations will get to that in the course of the next few hours that we have together. But I want to say thank you very much for the honor of this invitation. If I didn't learn anything, I learned the relationship between integrity, the word integer, the wholeness, and how it matches. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll keep taking the next comment from Dr. Wani Babala, SMN.
All who you observe, my comment is listening to the speaker and I come to the conclusion that we are trying to treat consequences, not outcomes. The problem of the legal system is seven, and it collapsed the data between 1975 and 1976, when most eminent judges were habitually retired without a trial, without university, and that has before then, judges of this level were referred, respected, worshipped, and they took their function. I will just give you two examples. It's human that one governor of Lagos, Bolaji Jones, sent word to GIS to attend the state meeting, and he responded that, sorry, to governor, my final appointment is about to happen. That was the end of the story. Fast forward in Anambra, and as the man was repeated to have a question. The Saraka come from the box. Give the same response. Saraka had to be there. Today, the judges have been turned into personnel of the state. There is no system that can have bishop offices under the strong influence of the effective possibility. I had an act when I hear governors of states saying my joy. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like the old Western states. No governor in the Western states would have audacity to refer the joy at that time. Then I thank Latin Patrick for what was done, the improved revelation of joy. But as I mentioned, this revelation is totally inadequate, even with the increment. You need to put judges on a pedestal where they believe that they can take care of all their needs without reference to them. I gather that in the federal sector, they should use their budget. But I'm familiar with a lot of states where the chief judge has to collect money, where the governor will buy cars proudly and say, come and see the car that is bought for my family. This is money because of this systemic thing, because of undiluted negativity into the way law is practiced. We found ourselves now just confronted. It's time for police to sit down, reposition, and let them do the profession. From school, lawsuit, to bar, to all the areas need political collaboration. In all the topical issues that have been moving, here is the bar. Here is the bar. You're talking of conflicting judgments, they're talking about this. Here is the bar. In the days of the bar association that I grew up, where my father was one of the bar teachers, the bar association board was a strong, legal, and moral board. Let us look at them, Trump and majority, and let us look at that.
Thank you very much. Just one more comment.
The program that you're attending is the 30th anniversary of MICA, Movement for Islamic Culture and Awareness. For those just joining us here in the room and online, welcome. And for those who've been with us from the beginning, or joined us at some point in the program, thank you very much for being here. The program is also organized to honor the Supreme Court Justice Abi. So, moving on, we would like to recognize the presence of the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Latif Banyami. Thank you very much for being here. And also inviting the one who is composed.
But my very noble Lord and honorary Chief Justice of the honorary opportunity of this appeal, I want to greatly indulgence to stand on the existing protocol. That's really greatly important. Now, I want to thank the resource persons for the in-depth analysis that I made. The problem that we are discussing is not the problem of Nigeria. It is the problem of Nigeria. And important. And I really think what one business to do. Now, we are talking of fairness. I think we should start from good things that the people are found. When we talk of fairness, which is the basis of why we are here, we first acknowledge that we have done a lot. Just like human beings, nature, you have the good and the bad side. On the good side, we are so good that we have been able to loan our personnel, our sister or brother countries. And I know that there are also judgments that have shown that the judiciary, particularly the Supreme Court, always raising the issue. But that does not mean that we don't have one or two incomes. But we must appreciate, like the comments, those who have commented before me, capture. Everybody is a stakeholder. The Bar Association, the Nigerian Law School, even the secondary school level. Everybody is a stakeholder. When you know something is wrong, in the first instance, you are not even supposed to take it to the court for adjudication. Not to talk, that's really starting point. For the lawyer, everybody has its own way. The Bar Association, for example. If you know, when you talk of conflicting judgment, when you know that there has been an existing judgment and you are supposed to know more, on that what of take up, that is the practice offshore. If you are aware of the decision that is against you, you must cite it, you will seek to distinguish it. So we all have this duty to perform. Then lastly, it's about the intercession of law and morality. I want to say that each has to be taken on its own merit. When you talk of morality,
talk of immorality, it is assumed that the legislators have taken it into consideration. The law is a reflection of what society wants. The ban will conclude, I will say that it is better, according to have good men administering bad laws than to have bad administering good laws.
Comments from the students. We have with us, across board, speakers have said, one of the places where we need to start attacking the problem that we're talking about is at the schools. Unfortunately, we have with us today students of Saudi girls here, and their assistant head of is Halima Alibiush is going to speak to us. Halima. Halima, where are you? Yes, she's coming. She's on her way. Okay, please give her the mic. Thank you.
My name is Alibi Sharifna from Asara Junior High School in Tivoli. I would like to say a big thank you for the organizers of this event. This seminar has been effortlessly impactful for me and my fellow students. But if I may, I would like to direct the question to Reverend Professor Gonzalo. Good evening. Can an action be moral but immoral or legal but immoral?
Can you repeat the question?
Can an action be legal but immoral or moral but illegal?
Yes. About how the law teaches medicine to achieve justice. So the law says that because we don't want an innocent man to go to jail, we will create means to make sure that only criminals go to jail. So we build a strong wall to protect innocent people. And at times, that wall stops bad people, right? And the reason why this is that if you go at war, innocent people go to jail. So grossly, rather than one innocent man to go to jail, we let 99 bad people be free. And that's what the Bachelor has done. Sorry, told I was very long, right? So let me just say that very quickly. Governor Fashola as governor, although he said he was a lawyer, let one armed robber that had done 30 armed robbery cases escape. So that was bad. But it was good because the law that allowed him to do so was to protect innocent people like me. To make sure that if you are the one at the Jora Lopa when there was an armed robbery, but you were just done in the way and the Lagos State environmental people arrest you to make sure that you go free. So the law works in a way that, as I said, it will allow 99 bad people to go free than to let one person suffer unjustly. So it's just the way in which the law tries to balance it. And so it's not by the politicians, not the judges.
Thank Thank you very much indeed. So that brings, that helps us. We're now rounding up all the comments from the audience. I hope you've enjoyed the interaction. And now there's a highlight, of this occasion. It is my singular honor and pleasure to invite up to the podium His Highness Khalifa Mohammed Sanusi II, CON. And another title has just been recently added, Doctor, to come and help us tie all the loose ends together, all the things that we've heard today. Please round of applause for Shura.
Are you right now? Okay. So we're trying to.
2 weeks ago, I received a call from my sister for the better call. Who told me that Justice Okuno was trying to reach me on behalf of Justice Wale Abiru to come and participate as a panelist in this forum. My first question was, why is Wale going around? He has my number, he's my friend. Why is he going around through Justice Okuno and through, I don't know if it's a Supreme Court thing, but in any case, I opted to delegate Imam Bashir because, like Koine, I want the protection of speaking as an emir and not as a panelist, and legacy cover, and also because I have a New Year resolution of not being controversial. So I've been given the task of tying up a lot of what has been said, and what I will do is obviously make a few remarks, and I'll use the Quran as the point of reference, and then bring in some of the comments that have been made in the course of presentation. And let me start by saying that for all the judges in this room, please accept my sympathies. Being a judge in a dysfunctional society is not an easy task. You're pushed left, right, and center. There's so many temptations from politicians, from people. And frankly, in every profession, just like in a large family, you have a large family of many good children. All you need is 1 or 2 bad children, and the entire family's reputation is destroyed. And I think a lot of what we hear about judiciary is something that is linked to a very tiny minority of judges. I have met so many judges in person, and I must say that I have not personally met a bad judge. Personally. So, but the reality is, my Lord, we have a big task, because at the end of the day, we all have to fight to clean up the reputation. So if there are few, those few have to go. And we have to make sure that we bring down the number of black judges to 0. So one way to take off is a verse that Dr. Bashir referred to in Surah Al-Hadid, where Allah says, لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانَ لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ. That Allah sent His messengers with clear proofs and sent down with them the book and the balance that mankind should uphold justice.
The second half of the verse says, وَأَنزَلْنَا الْحَدِيدَ فِيهِ بَأْسٌ شَدِيدٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ وَيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَنْصُرُهُ وَرُسُلَهُ بِالْغَيْبِ. And we sent down the iron. And in that iron, there is clear force of terror, but there's also great benefits for mankind. The jurists have interpreted the iron as the power of the state. God sent messengers, God revealed a book, God gave us guidelines, but God set up the power to set up that justice and to state. In our modern state, you would look at the police and the judiciary as the iron. When the police and the judiciary in any society stand up for justice, then the purpose of revelation is attained. When they do not, it is defeated. This is why in political science, someone like Anthony Grant talks about the hegemonic state. The very first thing political society tries to do in a hegemonic state is to co-opt civil society, and the key civil society elements it co-opts are the police and the judiciary. Once the political society is able to co-opt the judiciary and the police into its projects, then it is able to go ahead and do whatever it wants. So it's extremely important, I think, as Wale Babalaki has said, and bringing this together to ensure that we begin to fight for the integrity and for the independence of not just the judiciary, but of the law enforcement agencies. Once they become depoliticized, we begin to see a major improvement in our belief and our faith in the rule of law. The second element that's said to ethics are two verses in the Quran, one in Al-Nisa and one in MICA. The first one, Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kunu qawwamina bil qisti shuhada'a lillahi wa law ala anfusikum aw al-walidayni wal aqrabin. O you who believe, be upright for justice, witnesses unto God, even if it is against yourselves or against your parents or against those who are close to you. Now, this verse tells us the need for us not to be swayed by favoritism, by nepotism, by people we love, by people we like, into injustice. And then in Matthew it says, كونوا قوامين لله شهداء بالقسط ولا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم على تعدلوا. Be upright for Allah, witnesses for justice, and do not let the hatred of a people sway you from doing justice. So again, taking these two verses together, this is what if you're all sworn to uphold, doing justice without fear or favor. Hatred of somebody or the love of somebody would not sway you. Now, Governor Fashola talked about rulings and then people say people do not accept them and people find them odd. And this is the law. But I think it's important to, from a certain perspective, to ask. There are times when I can understand a case like the cases mentioned by the governor. But I think we all agree that there have been judgments that have been made that just fly in the face of common sense. Just fly in the face of justice. And many of these judgments that we hear about happen because the judges decide that even though this is substantive justice, they are not going to go with it because of some technicality. Now, there was a time in the history of our judiciary, and I think that was a just lesson. I'm not a lawyer, by the way, and I'll tell you why I'm not a lawyer. But I remember there's a case of Justice Wiley, a ruling, where he made very clear that where there is a clear case of substantive justice, you do not punish someone because his lawyer made a mistake. And I think what we have seen in recent and what really gets to people is the manner in which technicalities are relied upon to support a particular cause. And this is particularly when there's strong political interest.
I will not go into specifics, but I think we all are aware of cases like that. And I would urge that we've got to look at that and go beyond looking at the practice of the law and actually going for what is substantive justice, what has been established. Coin made the point about all religions preaching the same thing, and that's true. I think when we stop going to the realm of ethics and morality, you're in that point of universal religion. At the end of the day, all human beings are endowed with the capacity and the ability to discern what is right and what is wrong. We all have a conscience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always talks about al-amr bil ma'ruf wal nahy anil munkar. It's generally translated in English as commanding what is good and commanding what is evil. And what is evil. But ma'ruf in Arabic comes from the root word of what, which is knowledge. It's called ma'ruf because the human being knows. He knows by nature, by creation. The intellect knows that this is good. Munkar comes from nature, which is the intellect knows this, does not know it as good. We all know it. The rational human being, whether it's a Muslim or a Christian or non-believer, is able to discern what is good from what is bad. We go back to the dialogues of Socrates, where he's asking one of his interlocutors, did the gods command this because it is good, or is it good because the gods command it? The reality is, whether you're coming from the Quran, or from the Bible, or from any of the books of religion, you will find that when you come to the level of ethics and morality, they are teaching the same thing. So the good is there. It's something that we all know. And I think it's important for us to, in making our judgments, we must also think about what the reception. We are not influenced by it. It does not tell our wings, but it does explaining it clearly in a manner that will make you understand why this is justice. This is something that I would like to learn. Sometimes it's communication rather than the ruling itself. Now, for me, as I close, and I'd like to congratulate my daughter Chief Justice and I want to leave the judges with advice that I gave Justice Adam when I was at an earlier my event. And it's based on the set of verses in the Quran. And if I leave you with anything, I'd like to leave you with this as judges. These verses begin from where Allah says, Inna anzalna kitabun bil-haqqi litakhbira an-nasa bima Allah, fala takun sabila, fasila wastaghfirullah, inna Allah kana ghafurur rahima. Says we reveal, we send down the book to you, that you may judge between mankind with that which God has shown you. Do not be an advocate for the wrongdoers, for those who do not be an advocate for those who are wrong, for those who deceive themselves. And seek forgiveness of God, because God is not forgiving this person. And then he says, and he's able to witnesses, talking to judges, talking to all of us. ولا تجادل عن الذين يختارون أنفسهم إن الله لا يحب من كان خوانا. Do not be an advocate for those who deceive themselves. Do not be an advocate for those who are wrongers, because Allah does not allow people wrongers. Now the final verse for my brother, Justice Adam, for all our brothers and sisters in the judiciary. The final verse, if you don't remember one verse in the any verse in the Quran, if you remember one verse in the Quran as a judge, please remember this verse. Please remember this verse. Ha antum haula'i jadaltum anhum fil hayati dunya. فَمَنْ يُجَادِلُ اللَّهَ عَنْهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَمَّنْ يَكُونُ عَلَيْهِ وَكِيلًا. Here you are, being advocates for them in this world, who will be their advocate on the day of judgment in front of Allah? And who will help them? Now, this is for witnesses. And the scholars of Usul al-Fiqh have something they call Mafhum al-Awlawi. If it applies to witnesses, it applies more to judges. When your friends come to you, when your colleagues come to you, when the government comes to you, when the relatives come to you and you have a case before you, and appeal to you, and you listen to them, and you tilt in their favor and tweak justice in their favor, that's fine. Ask yourself, where will they be when you stand before Allah explaining that judgment? They have come to you as advocate for wrong, and they have made you do wrong. You are the final judge, Supreme Court, in House of the Court of Allah. Once the Supreme Court rules that the judgment is wrong, God's judgment. But that Allah, there will be a day when God will ask, who will be your own advocate on that day? Who will explain, who will come and be your lawyer? Who will be your senior advocate of Nigeria, your silk, in front of Allah, when he's asking you why you ruled against what you knew was true? If you do not remember any verse in the Quran, please always remember this. Write it on your table every day. أنتم هؤلاء جادلتم عن في الحياة الدنيا فمن يجادل الله عن يوم القيامة أم من يكون عليهم وكيلا. This is why I said that. Because, and this is why the earliest Muslims refused to be judges. Not because they had a contempt for judiciary, but because they knew the dangers of accepting to be a judge. They knew the risks they were taking. But it's also a risk, like all risks, it's also great benefits. If you know the law, if you know justice, if you apply it, you'll be among the elite on the day of judgment. If you do not know it, and you accept it, or you know, and you go against it, then you will be at the very bottom rung of those who are suffering your judgment. We pray to Allah to guide you. I pray to Allah for learned my Lord, the Chief Justice, and all the bodies on the Supreme Court. May Allah guide you. May Allah help you correct the errors that were in the past. May Allah help you reset our judiciary so that we have true justice all over. And please, Muslims or Christians, at the end of the day, I've heard all this thing about, I heard whatever I can comments about what this revolution. At the end of the day, we are all individuals accountable to ourselves. We come from families. We come from communities. We have children and grandchildren. And we all want to protect our names and leave a name for them. Even the prophets used to pray. The prophets, all the great prophets said, let me have good mention among those that will come after me. Everyone wants to be a name. And my prayer for you, my Lord, and my prayer for you, just as everyone and all the lordships here, is by the time you retire, generations after generations to speak of you in glowing terms, that you leave a name and a reputation. And in trying to do that, in trying to leave that name and live up to the expectations of that name, that is the only way you're going to clean up your nation. Forget Nigeria, forget the politicians, forget the legislators. Yes, they're corrupt, yes, they're this. At the end of the day, you as an individual, it's your name, it's your reputation, and you will stand alone before Allah to answer for what you've done. These are my
very much around the fantastic round. Thank you. May I kindly ask that we're drawing the program very slowly to a close. And there's a segment of the program where we'll be inviting all the distinguished guests here for a photo opportunity, but that will not be at this time. So please bear with us. At this juncture, the Lord, the Chief Justice of the Federation, sitting, and she's our chairperson for this occasion, the 30th anniversary of MICA, as we celebrate our Amir, not just his attribute. We've listened to a lot today, and I think there's been a lot to take away. I certainly learned a lot, and I'm really glad that I didn't miss this event, and I hope you feel the same way too. I'm going to hand the mic over to my co-compare to invite the chairman of the occasion to wrap up the session before we continue. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Before I do that, I really want to by co-compare to thank Israel Highness for the time of it all together. I've also been instructed to acknowledge a question that has come from our audience online for us to inform our speakers to relate over, for us also to think about. We do not have the time to take it and make it take it as well. Question really straight from the paper to me. The keynote speakers and discussants have established the link between ethics and morals on one side and law on the other. What then should be the role of institutions in society in inculcating the rights and values of the society? I'm aware that the section is open to this. I can't talk too much about issues that are tabled. And so with that done, I'd like to very respectfully invite the Lordship, the Chief Justice of the Federation, to do the wrap-up of this discourse. I'd like to be very respectful and invite Honorable Justice to do that.
The notes, all protocols to be observed, distinguished guests. I believe His Royal Highness has done my job. It has rounded up the discourse excellently well. I want to thank the distinguished panelists, former Governor Babajide Fashola, Right Reverend Oisola Ajayi, Professor Adedele and Dr. Achille Adebu, for very, very illuminating discussions on this topic. I also want to believe that our mother, Alhaja Latifat, the former governor, deputy governor of Lagos State, was very proud today. I congratulate you for the vision that brought forth and what you achieved up to this point. I really congratulate you. And for the seamless organization of today's event. I would say the take home from everything that has been said, as the Honorable Attorney General pointed out, and this happens in every aspect of our society, it's unfortunate that, by and large, our judges are morally upright, courageous, knowledgeable, and hardworking. It's not a few that has given us a bad name. But from the theme of this discourse, what I would say is that the thread that runs through everything is that we are all people of faith. Whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, we are all people of faith. The faith that we profess, they advise or they teach us goodness, morality, integrity, uprightness. These are the things that all our faiths teach us. And therefore, the change that we want to see in society is in each and every one of us. Not just judges, not just lawyers, not just politicians, every single person. If we all follow the tenets of the faith that we profess, our society will be much better. And I call on every stakeholder to join hands in making the Nigeria that we all want to see. It doesn't lie in the hands of one person, one segment of the society or the other. It lies in all of us. And as Royal Highness said, we are individuals at the end of the day, all accountable to ourselves. I want to thank MICA most sincerely for this very intellectual discourse. And I know that we have all taken something from it. I want to thank you very much. Thank our panelists for taking the time and sharing your insights with us. Thank you for the very attentive audience. And may we all do our own bit to create a better Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you very much for that fantastic round. So next segment,
the next segment of the program is documentary about MICA. Well, as we like to listen to us, please take my time. Ask for the So, furthermore, we all haven't heard from the Honorable Justice Abiyu, and that's the high point, which will be coming immediately after the documentary for because. Can we put up the documentary, please? Thank you.
New Islamic movement from group was born in Lagos and named the Movement for Islamic Culture and Awareness with the acronym MICA. Though there existed other Islamic faith-based groups and associations, the birth of MICA came with a breath of fresh air as the youth and young professionals found it received heaven in different ways beyond Islamic practice.
We have to decide on what to do for the development. There's something that we decided that should be our idea of bringing our professionals together.
About 30 years ago, it was a meeting of mind, the parents and we, the children. And I recall categorically, Alaja Ladipo got up like that and said, yes, I'm putting you out on this. And so what are you guys going to do? I thought, oh wow, I'm being called out. And I remember I got up that day and they didn't just came in like that. And I said, we would start an association and we will call it Movement for Islamic Culture. And everybody said, and now
the vision of a community of young professional, right, to operate in whether I say public sector or whatever sector they find themselves without hiding their Muslim identity.
Join the lectures that were had at present Australian Primary School in MICA.
MICA had a well-defined focus from the onset with a well-crafted vision and action statements. This was made possible with a strategic employment session with the drivers majorly from the corporate world using their strategic thinking to drive the association.
The name itself suggests we want Muslims, particularly youth, to be conscious and to be aware of themselves as Muslims and the role of Islam in the community, starting from the place of faith. I was privileged to be part of creating the vision of MICA. I can say that, yes, we have not reached the MBC goal, but definitely we have covered a lot of grounds. One of our covered belongs to Muslims, not MICAs. So that's what MICA members will go anywhere to any organization of fitting. Our vision and goal really was to create an avenue for people to excel and grow and become better Muslims.
As much as the leadership came in with the common token, the tenets of Islamic practice was well entrenched. Hence the slogan, striving in the course of Allah, known in Islam as Jihad Nafs. However, as this aided in the propagation of Islam by the group,
the concept of striving in the course of our life is continuous. And it is something that you do until you believe in yourself. When you talk about striving in the course of Islam, I think MICA has taken giant strides in achieving this.
So as Muslims, I mentioned it earlier, that jihad will never be something that is out of fashion, so to say. It is something that as Muslims, this is the first thing that we do. We should strive in the course of Allah, and we should start striving first of all by starting with ourselves.
Let them understand the fact that yes, affection from people. What they're going to do is to make effort to move from one level to another level. Start because of Allah, to live about, what Allah requires of us. So that was what drove the slogan. And it was also to act like a developer to our members and certainly making a difference.
The popular saying goes thus: what is within? Islam is very deliberate in choosing a good name either for a child or any consent. What value has the name? The movement for Islamic culture and awareness added to the Muslim movement.
It gave people this particular sense of identity as I am a Muslim.
Alhamdulillah, they have moved better than expected. Forward, we are moving, but the rate at which MICA moved is so fantastic that within 3 or 4 years of existence, they have members in the diaspora.
They are also incorporating or introducing the young generation.
Was able to help people of such environments come together and recognize that they were not alone in the workplace, in the academic environment, and so on and so forth. And therefore gave a sense of community where you actually spoke and people like me around that I favorably about. So that I think was a very fantastic thing. And a lot of those relationships have been built over the years, in fact, over the decades, if you will.
What helped MICA in my own way is that personal friendship.
But being able to help advance areas of interest to Muslims, and that MICA has been able to do quite successfully, such that with time, the opinion and the position of the organization is sought on sensitive matters, important matters, that enables us to advance legitimate interest of ourselves.
And I know that we actually give ourselves a 10-year plan as we want to be and all that. And we achieved our 10-year goal within 2 years. Because we was like a breath of fresh air for the Muslim youth. We are not condemning, we are not sending people back. If we take proper interest, if you send them back to accommodation, give you around. Because our understanding was a matter of form, a matter of substance. That substance will bring down its form. If you understand, you practice it. So tremendously it.
The MICA floor became a major attraction as we not only learned Islamic-related topics, it became a training ground to acquire knowledge in various professions, with the technocrats and major corporate players always on hand to share their knowledge, guiding the tenets of the Quran and Hadith. What will you consider the major unique feature of the MICA floor?
Point of entry for those who are seeking better understanding, but also from who want to learn mathematics. Generally, we want to understand Islam because we've also had non-Muslims come to the law.
We brought a lot of intellectual approach to preaching Islam. So if you came to MICA floor and you just want to get especially and says the of Islam, when we know that Islam has like 400 challenges.
The involvement of MICA gave birth to several districts, zones, and branches with regular Nusra, also known as study circle in most local government areas of Lagos State, from where it all started, and Bible branches in Kaduna, Abuja, Ilorin, and diaspora soon emerged. With this inclusivity, why would subsection of the society still tag MICA as an elitist group?
I wouldn't say that MICA is elitist, but I would admit that MICA was targeted at a particular niche, because that was where the need was. If you look at the composition of MICA, it's as far from elitist as you can imagine. So that just really has to do with the origins of it. But it's very, very quickly go away from that to become extremely widespread. And you could even argue to some extent grassroots organization.
The word elitist does not always carry a negative connotation. In some cases it was because of the caliber of people that maybe sort of started it at the beginning. And the idea was that as you joined, you brought your friends. And so people ended up with an inner circle of people who looked like one another. We had similar backgrounds and similar experiences. And we shouldn't forget that the people who initiated it had gathered their children to try and figure out how they can build a community so that ultimately they will make friends, but ultimately get married and start families and build the next generation.
It's not elitist, it has never been elitist, and that has also not been elitist.
In 1995, I relocated back to Kenya, and I felt there was nothing like MICA in Kenya there. And I felt the young people would benefit from it, and I felt that I wanted to continue those activities. So I talked to a few like-minded listeners, and that was how the Kenya chapter was born a few years later.
Still wearing a corporate outlook likely with what you see in international corporate discourse. The MICA Symposium soon became a household name as most Muslim families and non-Muslims alike always looked forward to attending the annual program, which pioneers such as
I think it was one of those innovations, if you like, that MICA pioneered. There may have never people who have attended it, but MICA did it at a grand scale at that time.
That is strength in numbers. So if you have 10 symposium, then we have 5,000 people by symposium. And then we also want to start the culture. The fact that if we call the program 10, it starts at 10.
Did MICA bring new Islam? Or was the ideology or the practice of Islamic Islam found too difficult to abide with?
I would admit that at a point, our ideology was beginning to be mixed up. And so we had to step back to ask ourselves the question, why did we found MICA? What was the objective of starting MICA? What is our result? Who are we? Why are we existing? And I think that we were able to refine ourselves and bring ourselves back to that raison d'etre that really was our essence. And alhamdulillah, I think
MICA is on course and it's fulfilling the purpose for which it was started.
There was no Islam, or just a new methodology. And again, we brought a lot of intellectual approach to preaching Islam. So if you came to Mecca's floor and you just come there and express an opinion and say it's of Islam, when we know that Islam has like 4 different opinions, we challenge it. I said it, don't say that.
To create a halal and permissible alternative in the rapidly growing membership. The Movement for Islamic Culture and Awareness, MICA, designed several innovative programs where the entire family can interact, network, and socialize, abiding with the tenets of Islam. This gave birth to Patida, Funfest, and Hangout, among several others.
It was useful, and then we have also broken a lot of programs that were very useful for the Muslim community because as far as the entertainment component of the Muslim community generally in Nigeria is concerned, we still have actually we have a deficit and we have a feeling to do.
Still on the welfare of members, the body was known to embrace rivers, those embracing Islam, rehabilitate and empower them, cater for those in need in the area of health and other categories. MICA pioneered single and married folk, later tagged Our Young Network.
Now, my husband is also Muslim, and in fact, I met him on the floor of my pastor else. And that was part of why we set it up on the
and we had a number of marriages that forum has helped to achieve through Allah.
I can't count the number of families that grew out of MICA. And so the singles and the married couple forum achieved a lot of purpose.
The Movement for Islamic Culture and Awareness is 30 years still counting. Where would MICA have done better?
My 2 cents, if you will, is that it's very critical that MICA focuses on addressing the challenges of the time.
I'm looking forward to MICA being a household. But one area in which we have lacked is infrastructure. And I think that I will be the first person to admit that.
Social plan would have done better. We have people now who have taken the power of it. We need to work better.
I don't believe that. Those guys we did a strategic planning session that I could do it from 30 years ago. I would suggest that there is need for a serious strategic plan and retreat to really appraise ourselves and to be as inclusive as possible.
Pray Almighty God to continue to be with them. They are really making waves. They are doing their best. And any program of MICA, we have got a program of receiving well-qualified, not just people. So, alhamdulillah, we should carry on, but we should not forget that.
I am grateful, to be here, to be able to say that MICA is 30. I'm grateful that I still continue to be a part of MICA one way or another on the Kaduna platform, and the opportunity to put barakah in it. Also, bless those who initiated this. May it be Sadaqatul Jariyah for them, and may it also be for us, inshallah.
Enjoy the documentary, please. Let us feel you. Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah. Moving right side. Thank you very much for that very beautiful documentary. Another round of applause for MICA. For multiples of 30 years of celebrations for MICA. during which we shall celebrate more elevations to the school today. Moving right along, the next item on the agenda is closing, vote of thanks and closing remarks by Honorable Justice Abuwa.
I want to be like saying that it's all about this is life. I give thanks to Almighty Allah today. I thank Him for His blessings and for His good. Let me start by greeting very humbly. You're able to see this of the prayer. My Lord, justice with the rats, someone, lots of people, this is your my Lord, I don't know about you have stayed to this occasion and very comfortable. Thank you very much. My brother just continued. Honestly, I don't know what to say. From the past, I say that in your life, that means people are what make you move. I'm very grateful. They have come to come home. I'm very grateful. There are not judges from other jurisdictions, from the Parliament Appeal, from the High Court, from the Federal High Court. I'm very grateful for the time to be here. The Khalifa, honestly, we've come a very long way in this struggle for Islamic advancement. I must say that I think you've always been there for the team. For sharing your thoughts and vision on building a more balanced society anytime. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your time. Finally, my very brother, yes, okay, call him, former minister, thank you, Dr. Anu Bashir. When I spoke to Dr. Bashir, I said the emphasis that I put with that paper. He was like, when is it going to happen? And thank you very much for the time. I know you're a very busy man. And thank you very much for coming. Very reverend. Professor Persevere, SAN. Thank you for bringing different perspectives, honestly, to this discourse. When we set out to have this discourse, we were not sure how to go. We were not sure how to go. But today, each speaker is performing a different perspective and widen the horizon, and it was better to understand. Thank you very much for your contribution. So, my big brother, always encouraging me, always telling me, always supporting me, and thank you very much. Let me thank also all the learners of general. My very good friend, my classmates. We did masters together. I remember in those days, I don't know if it's in public. It was a you know, when we're in class, working, as a general, we go and practice. We go to court, then come back on the and after one lecturer told, are you sure that this person won't pass this? He sat down and focused on it. Thank you very much for coming. I'm so grateful. So grateful. Let us see here, there are very many lawyers. I thank you very much for coming. I thank everybody here for finding time to be here. The topic we spoke about today is one that's very foundational. And it is profound to establish a just and equal society. The speakers have spoken to us in a way that have left everybody here will take a song what we learned today. I pray that Allah will reward them beyond what they have shared with us. And that also those that come here will take something that will make a better person and that build a better society. You've heard the story about MICA. MICA started 30 years ago. It started like it was an idea or something that just wanted to, let's create a forum, let's create an event. Young professionals come together to participate in the discussion about Islam, to feel part of the group, to feel be able to go to their public offices, be able to practice Islam while still working in operating environments. We had a lot of challenges at the time. I remember when some of us started wearing hijab and they were working in the banks. They had issues. But we engaged the banks. In fact, we engaged the leadership of the banks. I would explain to them why this should be allowed. Roughly, some of us started MICA, were lawyers. Quite a number of us, myself, the NBC, so we knew the law, supported what we were asked to do. So we engaged the banks and got them to do the things right. Now, MICA has moved from us. Now we have our children who are now taking over. A lot of these you are seeing today, all the multimedia, we didn't do this. The young ones did it. So we have created generation. We firmly believe that there's still a lot to be done. There's still a lot to be done. We need to engage the youth more. These days, like I've already said, we need to actually strategize and look hard to better engage the youth now. Because their own thinking, their approach, their ways of doing things are completely different. They call it the Gen Z generation. And the intention for us also to keep them within and let them take MICA further. We are retired as MICA executive. I have not taken part in actual deliberations of MICA in the last many years, but it's been managed and they want them. We just provide the support and give them whatever openings that they need. So we need to do more and we will do more. Let me thank everybody here present for being part of this occasion. Let me say finally, let me thank my wife for she's here, very important. When you have meetings in my house, we have meetings until late. That's this she came home and she found me having meetings and all of our meetings were female. And she looked at me and what exactly are you doing? I said, we are having a meeting, what's my so now call only female. And I said, it just so happened today that only members of the committee. I thank you very much for support. Thank you very much for attention. There's somebody here I want to mention, and especially for a reason, is Imam Abraham Ahmed. He's here. He's hiding his face. Honestly, this war himself, Professor Lee, for people like us, support when we started. When we had issues, when we didn't know what to do, they would be like, strengthen us. I said, you're on the right path, go ahead. If anybody asks me, who is my sheikh? I say, my sheikh is anything we do is always here. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honestly overwhelmed. I'm very grateful. I thank you very much. Those have traveled far and wide from here, they have received the bounty of your destination. I pray that the time you have spent here with us today will be for your benefit, our encounters for your judgment. Pray the material will inspire all of us. Thank you very much.
Very much, Justice Agapi, for those wonderful closing remarks. At this point of the program, I'd like to invite up Mr. Ahmed Mushola. Mr. Ahmed Mushola, who will be presenting some awards of recognition to some of the distinguished guests here, including the panelists and some other guests. Would you kindly come up, please?
Since I forgot, it was very softly. I did not the people who brought about MICA. They are here, some of them are here. I like honestly, without them, we would not have come about at all. When we started, we had issues and they kept on supporting us. They provided for us their homes to our meetings. Provided, I remember whenever we went to Anaja, we come to our meetings. We'll have Musa, we'll have some names, start of the meetings. Honestly, thank you very much. What you started 20 years ago, you have seen it blossom. You have seen it achieve. I pray that Allah will work that contact and practice as future for the day of judgment. Thank you very much.
So, the Executive Director of MICA will be presenting the awards to, first of all, the distinguished speakers. Let me hand over the mic to the ED.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate your presence. We're very grateful to our facilitators. We ask the presenters to starting with Professor Benjamin, who was also lecturer. It's an opportunity to get someone like Professor Benjamin. I remember studying political science if you photocopy textbooks that are not available in Nigeria, bring them from abroad and share them with the students.
The next award will be to Dr. Bashir Aliu Umar, OON. The next award will be presented to the very Reverend Professor Koinsola Ajayi SAN. The Amir will now present the next award to the Honorable, to the CJN, the Honorable Justice. I'm so sorry, apologies. The next award is to be presented to His Excellency Babatunde Raji Fashola.
Yes.
So now, the Honorable Justice Abiru Amir will present the next award to the Honorable Justice Kudirat Kekere GCOL. Your Highness, permit me to kindly ask you to join us again on the podium to enable the Amir, the Honorable Justice Abiru, to present you with the recognition award. Finally, last but not the least, an award to be presented to Crescent Schools, 1004 Housing Estates, Victoria Island. Receiving that award is Elijah Fatima for please across the support to MICA has been please keep encouraging her. She comes forward to receive the award on behalf of Crescent Schools 1004. And the next award, the final award goes to the celebrant of today. Yes, our very own Justice Abi Wale Abiru. Thank you very much for your patience and thank you for staying with us. Please, another round of applause to all those who have well-deserved recognition. We started with a prayer, and Alhamdulillah, I believe that all has gone well. God has blessed this effort, and so we would like to close this event with a closing prayer. And it is my honor to kindly invite Sheikh Abdulrahman to come up to the stage to give the closing prayer. Please, a round of applause for the Sheikh, the Amir's Sheikh. Please keep clapping to encourage him.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إنا نسألك بأنك أنت الله الذي لا إله إلا أنت الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد أن تغفر لنا ذنوبنا وتستر لنا عيوبنا وتجيرنا من النار برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم فرج هم المهمومين المهمومين ونفس كرب المكروبين وقض الدين عن المدينين واشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين اللهم اجل كل فقير اللهم اشفي كل جائع اللهم اكس كل عريان اللهم عد دين كل مدين اللهم فرج عن كل مكروه اللهم رد كل غريب اللهم فك كل اسير اللهم اصلح كل فاسد من امور المسلمين برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. Oh Allah, we beseech you by your most beautiful names and attributes. We ask you by your grace and mercy to please look upon us with mercy, guide our leaders aright, guide those of us who are following them aright. Please, by your grace and mercy, set right our affairs. Enable us to choose right and do right. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us peace in this country, to help us to entrench justice for our benefits. We pray for the backbone of our polity, the last hope of the common man, the judiciary. May Allah enable them to do right. May Allah instill in their hearts the love of justice, fairness, and equity. May Allah make them strong, brave, fearless, and may Allah protect them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those who are the pioneers of these efforts, even like His Highness the Al-Furma Sarkin Kano has quoted a verse from the Quran when Allah was asked for one of the most important prayers. وَاجْعَلْنِي لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ فِي الْآخِرِينَ. There is nothing that is better than that. May Allah, as you are even being mentioned today, tomorrow and tomorrow's tomorrow, may you get beautiful, good mention. May you live forever in people's hearts and memories. We pray for our youths, the hope of our country and our hope for tomorrow. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide our youths aright. Allahumma aslih shabab al-muslimin. Allahumma ruddahum ila dinika marad al-jamila. اللهم ردهم إلى دينك مرد الجميل اللهم ردهم إلى دينك مرد الجميل. And I specifically pray for His Lordship, Honorable Justice Habibullah Aduali Abu. May Allah continue to guide you. May Allah continue to keep you strong and upright. May your garments not be soiled. May your names not be spoiled. May you continue to shine. And may Allah give you good health. May you continue until you decide to retire in grace and gracefully. I pray for the head of the judiciary, the head of the executive, everyone in this country. I pray and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to do what is right and what is just. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Thanks for that very, very powerful prayer. May Allah hear all the prayers. And on that note, please don't run away. There's going to be a photo opportunity, which will be coordinated by an executive director.
So when you invite for photographs, I'd like to invite Amir. The first photograph Amir and the chief
So what's up? What do you do? I just have a secret. Maybe in couple of years. Even though I've been out. I'm trying to go into cybersecurity.
Well, he gave me
somehow, how should I call it? Abusing. This is what actually happened. There's one of my students was I learned from I'm also a represent. So I'm trying to go into cybersecurity just to add to my knowledge. So she went ahead to pay for all these cybersecurity courses.
Let's just let everybody say among us. Yeah, let's go and take the other. Assalamu alaikum. Who did you know? I can't remember what did you give?